Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR353. It's NXT update, and I have the pleasure to be joined by Mind of Monty Pod, or my friend Monty, as I call him. How you doing, fella? You all right?
What's up, James? I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back. It's been a while, but I haven't even done a podcast since our last time, since your anniversary show, the WNR's anniversary. So, I'm happy to be back in the saddle, so to speak, and just I'm ready to go.
Well, without doubt, speaking of the anniversary show, like I said, thank you very much for taking part of it. We had such a huge reaction to our 6th anniversary show. A lot of love there for everybody involved, and of course, you're a huge part of that as well.
Appreciate it, man. It was fun, and I love the. When you're recording it, you only get you know your part, but once I heard the finished product, it was all beautiful. I loved it. So it was a great time, and I was happy to be a part of it. So happy. You don't understand. It's so cool to do things like this. And like I said, being from where I'm from in America, to have a kind of like you said, like you always call it pattern family. To have that family all the way, on the other side of the world, it's cool.
Without a doubt. So we have got a shitload of NXT to catch up on today. And like I said, at the moment, because the last time you were on the anniversary show, we did talk about having a Japanese show at the end of the month. And of course, with everything that's been happening in New Japan, they've kind of stopped the events. We're going to push that back to the end of June now. So basically, we're just going to concentrate on NXT for our next couple of shows because, as we'll get into it, there's been a takeover announced and everything else like that as well.
Sounds good to me. I can't wait. NXT has been, only raising the bar, and I love doing these shows, so I can't wait to get into it. Let's do it.
Well, we start with arrivals because we had a new group of recruits reporting for training at the Performance Center. We had, if I get any of these names wrong, you can obviously correct me. We got Sari Fujimura, who debuted on NXT television as Sarai, is 24-year-old with nearly a decade experience in the ring, already competing under the name of Sari. She made her mark in the Japanese Joshi circuit promotions like Miko Satomura's Sendai Girls, Joshi Pariso, and World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana. Yeah. So that's the first one. I'm happy with myself there.
You did great. I'm not much better than you, so if I've been saying it wrong, they'll just correct us both.
Yeah. We had, of course, we've heard about Sarai. We'll get onto that in a bit. We had Sanjana George, who is a 24-year-old from Bangalore, India. In addition for a passion for running, route, and obstacle courses, she also has a 5-1 record in mixed martial arts, so don't fuck around with her. We've got a 23-year-old powerlifter from Monterrey, Mexico, Jennifer Mitchell Cantu Iglesias. Hideki Suzuki, who joins the PC coaching staff. He trained in the Catchers Wrestling as Japan's Snake Pit under the legendary Billy Robertson. He was named the MVP of Japanese Independent Wrestling by Samurai TV. Matt Farrelly of Sydney, Australia, is a former history teacher who experienced in the ring of reality television. And then we've got Stephanie DeLandra of Sydney, Australia, has a background in dance and soccer, has been a standout in the independent wrestling scene down under. So, of course, all the arrivals at certain points. But one of these things I find quite incredible, because I've been a fan for quite a few years now, is the kind of the international appeal of WWE. It is truly global now. When you talk about, performance centers coming from Australia, India, Japan, and all over the world, back when I was growing up, it was basically America and Canada, and that's just incredible now, isn't it?
It's beautiful to see, and it's insane, really, when you think about it. Like you said, America, Canada, maybe, a couple British wrestlers, maybe not, the British Bulldogs, maybe, but not really, you know what I mean? They didn't, like you said, for a long time, it was like that. And, and now you just see from all over the world. It's not just Japan. It's not just Joshi wrestling or of the strong style. It's, Australia. It's wrestling scenes from everyone. We all know, we know about NXT UK. Mansoor, who just debuted on the main roster not too long ago, or came back to the main roster, I guess. I don't know if it counts as a debut, but he, from all the way from Saudi Arabia. So it's crazy. Like, WWE is definitely worldwide, entertainment.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and it's incredible to think now, and there is a chance, no matter where you are in the world, if you grow up being a fan of wrestling and want to become a wrestler, because all joking aside, when I was young, if I was over 6 6 foot at that point, I would have trained to be a wrestler. But because I was so small,
Right.
and now you've got the dream of, it doesn't matter what your size, doesn't matter where you're from, you can potentially make it as long as hard work, and it pays off,
I agree. Like when growing up, the only you thought everyone, like you said, a lot of fans envisioned themselves. I believe if you're anything like me, you definitely had those times where you imagine yourself in the ring doing these things and all of that. But yeah, it was a standard. Growing up, you either had to be, like you said, huge as far as like height goes, or like unique or an attraction, or you had to be uh, abnormally muscular.
Yeah.
Like all types of elements that a regular person, a regular fan may not have. But that's not the case today. You don't have to be the best looking. You don't have to be. We have all different types of sizes and shapes now in the ring. I've always been pretty much an overweight guy, and so I'm not Rikishi like overweight, but at the same time, I love Rikishi though. Rikishi was great in the ring for someone, especially someone his side. Yokozuna, Umaga's growing up. You had a couple of them, but they all were typecasted into the monster roles, the King Kong Bundys back in the day, stuff like that. But they're all huge. They're still huge. Now you have guys like Bronson Reed, and even though he's still a relatively huge guy, you got so many different types of body types. Kevin Owens, Keith Lee. So it's crazy, like you said. The how now it's like anything is possible when it comes to wrestling. You can have a particular look, or whatever it is, anything is possible.
Like I say, I always like the huskier look, and of course I've always been in shape. Of course, round is a shape. But anyway, we'll get on to NXT because we've got 5 episodes to catch up on, and our first one is the 13th of April, and this was the first NXT on a Tuesday, and we had the Skull and Fire added to the graphics to make us know that the move had been changed to Tuesdays, and then we showed Karrion Kross and Scarlett arriving to complete their proclamation. The time has arrived, and the Herald of the Doomsday has his title back. He made an emphatic statement on the future of the brand, demanded competition that could feed his hunger. He said, "I don't care who you are, where you've been, whatever you do, please don't try this at home." Oh no, wait, no, that's the other advert. So no, he said, "I don't care who you are, where you've been, or what championships you've won, or what you think you're entitled to, how many zeros at the end of your checks. I will fold every single one of you until there's no one left." Because everyone pays the toll. A great way for Kross to obviously introduce himself after winning the title. We're picking up right from our last takeover, of course, Karrion Kross beating Finn Balor. The thing is, like, who can beat Kross? Because he was so dominant, and to make that statement at the start of NXT, who can step up to him?
I think a lot of people can we have candidates who can attempt. Who's going to actually beat him is a totally different story at this point. I don't know, will it have to be a new arrival, or will it have to be someone who goes through not so much as a transformation, but you have to have someone who's built up as just as not unstoppable, but someone who can overcome the unstoppableness of Kross. Because Kross, like you said, has pretty much so far been built up as indestructible, other than a freak injury that he still survived and finished the match with. With. So he's been built, like you said, built up so perfect. It's hard. It's really hard to see. I don't know if we'll have. Maybe it could be an Oscar situation, where he just dominates and gives it up at some point. But I think it's more likely that we will get someone. I was thinking, possibly if Johnny Gargano ever drops this North American title, I can definitely see Gargano not necessarily beating him, but man, I love seeing his attitude and see how does he play off Kross. Does he go just the scary route, or does he try to outsmart? Because Johnny's a very cerebral heel, even though he's hilarious. So I love what Johnny's doing right now. It's a lot of guys who have a chance, but beating him is just, it looks, like you said, just out of the cards right now. Beating him looks out of the card. Giving him a great, angle or challenge looks, that can happen. But beating him looks very, very, out of the cards.
Well, we get a takeover highlight package follows, and that was epic. And then we get MSK the champions versus Killian Dane and Drake Maverick tag team title match. And as always, Drake Maverick found himself the weak link early in the matchup, was isolated by MSK. Wesley and Ashcart used a series of impressive maneuvers to need to take the win. Dane and Maverick fired back with their own tag team synergy, but it backfired and they miscommunicated late. MSK took out Dane and then hit end transmission of Maverick to get the win. This was a really, really good tag team match. And then we get Alex to confront Kenny and Dane, which leads to Fabian Eichler and Marcel Barthel giving a beatdown. Imperium stand with their arms behind their back as Imperium music plays with their bodies. The challengers laid out in front of them. AEW talked about their long-time storytelling. Well, of course, we know about Alexander Wolf attacking Dane, his former partner. Of course, they were champions and partners in Sanity. What did you think of that match, and what do you think this kind of whole story with Dane and Wolf? Because I think there's quite a few levels to that.
Right. So to start with the match first, I just want to point out that they put up still images of what happened at Takeover while MSK was making their entrance. I really thought that was dope. I really like how they're using that screen and that camera angle, in the CWC for their production. I really think that was cool, especially on this first night on Tuesday. I don't think Drake Maverick gets enough credit for how compelling he is, just like in the ring. He just, everyone loves Maverick, but he really makes you believe that not about the chance, not just about him having a chance, but you believe he's really in pain. Like you say, he's always the weak link, but even though it's repetitive, it still works in my opinion. This match was predictable. I didn't really, like I said, it wasn't bad. It was just, predictable. I definitely didn't see MSK winning, but I did notice something also about the match. I wasn't sure if the fans just love Maverick and Dane or they really hated MSK. I heard, a lot of booing, a lot of, you guys suck. They just kept hammering that home to MSK at one point. I don't understand. I'm not sure what MSK did, but, the universe in the building that night really did not receive them well. But I must say, though, that Dane, Wolf, and Imperium story is interesting as hell. Like, I just can't wait. I just want to see where it keeps going. Week after week. It's just like you said, the long-term storytelling. All of the guys, anyone who's a long-time fan of NXT, remembering how dominant Dane was, insanity, and and Wolf, trying to remind Dane of how or letting him know you've fallen so far from that monster. And I don't know if this will lead to Dane eventually joining Imperium or getting Wolf out of there. I love the fact that it's even seeming to be making dissension, creating dissension in Imperium, not so much as the three, Eichner and Walter and the crew, but with Wolf, seeming to get stared, side eyes from Imperium. Mm-hmm. I like that, I love that element. So it's just so interesting. I love to see how this play out. And you're right. I love it when NXT or Triple H in general do not get enough credit for this, but they do a really good job, especially on NXT, as they will do later in this show, with having some long-term nods to things in the past.
Without a doubt, and I think, like I said, that doesn't get enough credit maybe sometimes. But then we get a video from earlier today showing up to demand money from Robert Stone. She starts choking out a liar or nymph when he doesn't have it. Jessica Rivera steps up to stop her, setting up a match for later. And when we come back from a break, we get a video package recapping the match between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, complete with highlights from night 2 of the match at Stand and Deliver. And obviously both of them taking ambulances to the hospital, with Adam Cole still talking shit as he's getting taken away, saying, this is not over, Kyle. Which makes you think it is not over. Should they have ended it maybe with that matchup, or do these two deserve a loser leaves NXT match, so to speak?
I think that especially if you have plans to call up Adam Cole, that sounds like a great idea to make it a loser league. Honestly, they could end it with that with that fight. It was it was a short and sweet, simple story. I was compelled. Like I said, the match may have went a little longer, but they went for it and they tried to kill each other, which makes sense when you're doing something unsanctioned. So. It didn't count, so maybe now it needs to be, something that's not unsanctioned, something that, maybe for something. I don't know, not necessarily a number one contendership or anything like that, but, maybe an actual match, maybe I can see that, but they don't have to. I think that was a nice conclusion, and, Kyle O'Reilly got his revenge for what Adam Cole did to him. So, I mean, it was a simple, quick story. You can go back to it. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I don't think you have to either.
No, that's what I'm saying. But the option is there if they do need it, which again is something about NXT, which I think maybe doesn't get enough credit sometimes, but they can move on or go back to it, and it would make sense either way. Just look at Gargano and Ciampa, how many times they kind of went away, then came back together, you know?
Exactly. It like you said, the stories. It's all about the story, and they do a really good job on NXT of making storyline reasons for why these people, whether like you said, it's Ciampa and Gargano keep interacting, or it's many ways. Whether it's over a title, whether it's personal things. Again, just I remember what you did. So yeah, I think they do a really good job at that.
When we get on to Mercedes Martinez versus Jessica Cabrera, and into the match, Cabrera actually builds Martinez across the ring and starts to beat up with a cow pattern boot to the back. She goes to the second rope for flying elbow, and the liar or nymph says, "Did you see that?" And way back says, "Yes." Martinez avoids a crossbody and hits a jumping knee to the jaw. She hoists Cabrera to her shoulders and plants for the pin. The winner of the contest, Mercedes Martinez. This was a glorified squash match, and then she chases down Robert Stone and slams him into the plexiglass and starts choking him out. He pulls out a wad of cash and she takes it, and then goes over to the announce desk to yell, "Raquel Gonzalez, congratulations, champ, but here's a warning, I'm coming for you." There's no doubt Mercedes is still a badass.
Oh yes, I think that's her role, and she plays it perfectly. I must say I love Barrett's expression after she says that. Like I don't know if he was either outraged or terrified himself. I love how he sold it. And also, I must say, I know it seems like I just be jumping on Aaliyah. I know it really does seem like I don't like her, but I don't know how anyone can ever take her seriously when she screams, especially in that division, when she's screaming like Mercedes is a horror movie villain. When she's screaming like she's just terrified of Mercedes while she's roughing up Strong, and not Strong, but Stone. Yeah, that rhymes. Anyway, so she was screaming like she was just so terrified. I'm like, how can anyone ever take her seriously in the ring at all? But I guess we're not supposed to at this point, so it is what it is. But I just thought that was hilarious.
It's a problem when she's picked not to wrestle. I think that is the issue. And who is the more useless manager than Robert Stone at this moment in time? Like, to manage talent, it's just, he must be on the list of like win-loss records as well. Like bottom of the bottom. Like Harvey Whippleman's maybe just beating him out, like.
I agree. Nothing has worked so far. He wasn't, the Chelsea thing fell through. Every time he tried to work a business deal with Mercedes, he end up getting beat up over it. Shotzi embarrassed him. Again, I said, how can I take Aaliyah seriously? You point out, how can you take her manager seriously? How can you take anything about the brand seriously at all?
Well, we get Mackenzie Mitchell's backstage with the Wwe, and Gargano says, "Do you know what this match is, Mackenzie? Say it with me. It's cuckoo
bananas."
That's where he says, "Tonight I play normal games with Dexter Loomis. They're going to handle their business." Gargano flips out and then gets them all to do the Wwe hand gesture with Mackenzie. We love the Wwe, but I tell you what, Austin Theory in the background is always in character. And people have said this about Ricky Starks on AEW. That has really pissed me off. I'm not going to fall into that trap with Austin Theory. But it was very Rock-esque what he was doing. He was talking and he's reacting to it. It's very similar to what The Rock did when, obviously with the Nation and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, but it's the constant being in character and being that goof that I'm finding a lot of kind of respect for Austin Theory just for the way he's playing it at the moment.
I agree 100%. I think what the Wwe has really done is definitely elevated Theory, and it's definitely elevated Indy. Not only as in the ring, but like character wise, like who they are and what, it's hilarious sometimes, of course, but like you said, the commitment that Theory shows to just really being the dumbest you can possibly be it's pure commitment. And I agree. He definitely, in that promo, he definitely did a great job in that moment. And I think like just consistently, he makes great faces when they're in the ring and he's talking. I know we haven't got there yet, but he's going to do something in his match with Cross that was just at the very beginning. Doesn't even do anything, but just a look, and he sells it perfectly. And I agree. The way is just great in every way possible, and I didn't even try to do it on purpose.
Well, no, but the thing is as well, and people go, funny isn't money as well, and they'll say, but to fully invest 100% in the captain, to kind of be goofy, and it's not going to hurt you in the long run. Look at what Kurt Angle used to do. Look at, Stone Cold and stuff. There's a chance to use it. Look at Edge, you know what I mean? Like, you've got that kind of sense of humor. You could be stupid in that role, but obviously when you need to be more serious,
it's timely humor. Right, yeah. Timely. It's all about being timely with, great wrestling and timely humor works. When you overflow it, on the humor side, yes, it can take away. But when you can mix in, because Gargano is always going to be good in the ring, and I think Theory, Hartwell, especially also, of course, LeRae is great also. They're all solid in the ring. And then you add the timeliness of their humor. It's not too much. It's just the right amount, in my opinion. And I don't take Gargano less seriously because of how much he makes me laugh. I still know that when it's time, like you said, when that belt is on the line or we at a takeover, you know what you're going to get from Gargano, whether he cracks you up or not.
Without that, when we get Azir Scott in the recording studio, it's time for Swerve to move on, but I can't do that without getting rid of Leon after Leon are done. That was good stuff. Then we get Santos Escobar making his entrance, and he's got an open challenge, and he says, main events, takeovers. The Emperor of Lucha Libre stole the show at Takeover. Now I'm the undisputed champion, just like my father, just like my son will be. But, guessing, I don't know how good the son is as a wrestler. We got to work that out first.
I wonder, what if his son wanted to just do like insurance? Or, what if his son don't want to wrestle? Like, or does his son already wrestle? How old is this son? There was a lot of questions after it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you get the storyline where Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar, because Dominic is actually the son of Santos. We never knew this.
I know Rey is tired of battling over the custody.
How many times do I have to fight for custody?
At some point, he's just going to be like, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah, take him. I've had enough. Fucking take him. Anyway, about to Santos, and he's talking about an open challenge. He says, we're warriors, we always fight. Whoever wants to answer the challenge. And then Kushida answered the call. You could hear me and Monty cheering at that same time it happened. Escobar was shocked by this. Kushida went for the hoverboard lock early, but Escobar managed to get out of the way. Went to a break, and then we came back. Both of them were trading forearms and kicks. Escobar hits Kushida with a backstabber. He goes for the Phantom Driver, but Kushida escapes, rolls Escobar up. Escobar then reverses it. Kushida flips over him, hooks his legs while practically sitting on Escobar's face, and he got the pin. Your winner and new Cruiserweight champion, Kushida. Santos is beside himself in the ring. Kushida is celebrating at the top of the ramp as the smoke pours through the building. He's hugging the belt and rolling all over the entrance ramp. This was fucking brilliant.
Oh, man. I loved every second of it. The match itself was beautiful. Santos was spot on from the beginning, highlighting how he elevated the Cruiserweight Championship from sideshow to prime time, and he made a great point. It's such a great point, and Kushida, and I forgot the Boston crowd spot on the steps that Santos did early in that match was insane to me, But yeah, the match, Kushida's reaction to winning was perfect. The shock in his face, like you said, Santos sold it with shock, but he was frustrated. But Kushida's happiness, the joy, that's one of those things I love the most about, Joshi and Japanese male wrestling is, they emote. I don't know, it's just they're in their style. They're taught to not so much say how they feel, they show how they feel in Japanese wrestling. And you can just see that style in Kushida's, and just based on his reaction after winning. It was such a great match, and I really loved the moment, and I was surprised. I can't lie. I couldn't believe it. He just undisputed Cruiserweight Championship. But I do understand that after the year, especially that year, the last 6 or 7 months of what Escobar's past reign, I understand wanting to elevate him if that's what's coming. That's what I predict was coming next after that. After losing the belt. So if that's what's coming, I can't wait to see what he does next. But this was a great moment, and Kushida definitely deserved to finally get over that hump. We talked about how close he had been coming to finally getting a big win, and it was great to finally see him do it.
Well, this is the thing. I've been moaning about Kushida's treatment. It was a kind of pleasant surprise. And with Devlin beating him on the pre-takeover NXT, that opens up the door now for Devlin to come back and say, well, I beat you and you're the champion if it happens. I can't remember Kushida not having a great match this year. And I was gonna go on to it later, but at the moment in time, and we're in May at the moment, Kushida is my wrestler of the year. Especially in NXT, kind of hands down. I mean, I like Santos, but I'm really digging Kushida. And like you said, it's everything that he done in this. One thing about Santos Escobar's promo at the start, there was one fucking twat, right, going, yeah, every time Santos was saying something, yeah,
that's right. Like, tell him,
like, shut the fuck up.
Agreed 100%. Like everything he said, it was just, and then it was just this one annoying voice. The one annoying voice.
Come on. But I love the match reactions by the commentators and the competitors as well. And then we get a video of Tommaso Ciampa and Thatcher. Ciampa said, we didn't win every fight, but passed the test. MSK, we're coming. And then we see Raquel Gonzalez walk to the ring with Dakota Kai trailing behind as we go to a commercial break. When we get back, William Regal congratulates Kushida, but Jordan Devlin interrupts. He says, you're a 6-time IWGP Junior Champion and now the Cruiserweight Champ. That makes you the man. I mean, just because you run up a ladder quicker doesn't make you a better wrestler. I'm going to go away for some time, but when I come back, I'm coming for that, so hold it tight. Kushida said any time. And again, like I said, the story there sets it up for the next couple of months now.
Yes, I thought it was beautiful. They did it right after, like you said, not too long right after that match. They immediately established, like where Kushida could be headed next, and I can't wait for that match because I know they'll kill it. Like you said, Kushida, like I've been spoiled. I was lucky enough to witness at least 3 or 4 of those IWGP Junior reigns, so I know how great Kushida is. Literally was the ace of the junior division. When they say Tanahashi is the ace of New Japan wrestling, Kushida was the ace of the junior division. He was Tanahashi, little Tanahashi, basically, if you want to look at it that way. And that's a legend. That means he was one of the best in the world. He won the Ring of Honor, TV championship, I believe. Like Kushida has done it all around the world, and I love the fact that NXT acknowledges it. One of the things that really aggravates me the most sometimes about WWE, the main roster, especially in the case of someone like Shinsuke Nakamura. He's one of the most accomplished wrestlers in the world, and they never tell you that he was he literally had one of the most iconic Intercontinental Championship reigns, just because they don't like necessarily mentioning things like that. But I love the fact that NXT did it in this case because it adds more weight to this, not only the Cruiserweight title victory for Kushida, but it just shows, he's a champion everywhere he's went. And
so I'm about to say, but it just shows you it's smart booking on WWE's part because obviously, where some fans think Cruiserweights, they think kind of high flyers or the kind of Lucha Libre Mexican, Rey Mysterio, Rey Fenix types. And I think when NXT, they go, right, we're going to division. They tried it with the CWC, kind of didn't really work. And they're going, how can we make this work? Obviously, they had Santos, but for Kushida to say, look how good he is in Japan, look how good he was as the junior champion, and to bring that to NXT adds legitimacy to the Cruiserweight Championship. And I don't know if NXT have done, I hope they've done that on purpose because it makes more sense now. And Kushida is one of these guys, I mean, don't get me wrong, Forbidden Door open and Japanese and New Japan wrestlers showing up and Impact and AEW is brilliant. But to actually have a guy go, do you know what? I've done everything I can in New Japan. Let me go over to America. Yeah. WWE. Yeah, I might not make it. And we were moaning about, is he going to fall by the wayside like a kind of Hideo Itami or something like that? And it's his performances that's put him in this position.
I agree. I think that's the best part about it. Luckily, in other cases, there have been injuries. There have been, other things that have gotten in the way. But I love the fact that, like you said, they've let Kushida do what he does best. He doesn't have to say much, but he goes out there. And like you said, when Kushida's music hits, no matter who he's fighting, heavyweight, his size, cruiserweight, doesn't matter. He will put on a show, and it's going to be a technical masterpiece. And I'm happy that we're here now because I agree. I remember those early days, and we were wondering, what do they know what they're doing with this character, with Kushida? And I think he's adjusted really well to the NXT style. At first, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe, he was more used to having those marathon style, New Japan, it's similar. NXT does a similar style, but since it's in the realm of WWE and it's on television, it's toned down completely different than what it would be if he was still in New Japan. So it's nice to see how they both adjusted to each other. NXT's adjusted to Kushida, and Kushida seems to be settling right in on NXT, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Well, we get Dakota Kai introducing Raquel Gonzalez, NXT Women's Champion, explained it every day before this night had built her to this moment. She put the captain of the team kick over. It's instrumental to her rise. The lights went out and Frankie Monet arrived with a dog in hand. She claimed that the NXT Women's Division was hers now. They almost came to blows, but the newcomer stepped away. And then Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair arrived to celebrate with the new NXT Women's Champions. The best friends hugged in the centre of the ring, celebrating their rise to gold together. Regal then put over another recent signing for the women's division. It was announced that Sarai would debut next week. The Warrior of the Sun is coming. Fuck kayfabe. This was awesome. All three got their start in the Mae Young Classic, and they got to this point now. And the women's division is stacked.
Oh, I agree 100%. I love that moment, like you said, not necessarily pulling the curtain back, but just, everybody who knew, if you know, you're in that situation, and these three, immediately, I always say that Rhea, Bianca included, especially when you see Raquel and you just see like the athleticism, they all have that in common, that immediately once you looked at these women, you knew, this can be the future. And to see that it all can come into fruition the way it did, and they're all champions and they all look great in the ring, and it was just a great moment. And I love Frankie Monet's opening promo. It introduced, you know exactly what her character about. In my opinion, I know exactly what her character about just from that one appearance. I know what I can probably expect, not just because I know her from Impact, but it's just they did a really good job of establishing the type of competitor she'll be. Not so much in the ring, but at least her character-wise. And I really like that element, too, of this promo. So it was a great segment all around. Raquel's address to the division was great, and, the debuts were great. So this was just beautiful. I agree 100%. I don't know how you cannot. I almost wanted to give a standing ovation in my room, in my house.
It is scary, and I think we're going to look back in a few years' time and realise just how brilliant the women's division has been, especially in NXT this past a couple of years. But we get Pete Dunne next, saying last week I out-wrestled Kushida and showed it's not just talk. I'm the best technical wrestler, not just in NXT but in WWE. If anybody thinks it's different, step up and prove me wrong. It's now time to focus on championship gold. And then in Renee Regal's office, we see Roderick Strong. He's waiting with a sealed envelope. He says, I'm dumb. I says, you sure? He goes, I can't say it was trying at times dealing with you. Oh, no, Regal then says, can't say it wasn't trying at times dealing with you, but you were the ultimate professional and you're welcome here any time. Roderick Strong has left. What do you make of that?
I still think that this may be part of something bigger, with his maybe a return down the line. I don't know if that means he's going to get a brand new character or something like that. But I didn't necessarily know what to think at first. I didn't know if this was legit. Is he really done? I know Roderick has been in the business a long time, and he's, but it isn't like he said he's retiring. He's just done with NXT right now. So I don't know if this is temporary. I didn't know what to think. I read that it's rumored that he could have been getting called up. That was like a month ago when I read that. Not sure. I haven't seen or heard anything else. So I didn't know what to think. But if he is done with NXT, I think, he hasn't even scratched the surface really of what he can do in WWE. He's so good in the ring. That's another guy that, whether if you just look at his resume, especially like when you give him a chance one-on-one, even when he was in the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong has a really good, match track record. And so I will miss some of that great action that he provides. But I don't know what's coming, so we'll see. I think maybe we may be in for a surprise down the line, or we may see him on the main roster.
And if he does go on the main roster, then I'm sure we will enjoy his matches with Ricochet on main event when they do happen. So
that's a great point. I agree with you. It sucks because he's so good in the ring, but especially if he go, like I said, I always figured that him and even Kyle O'Reilly and Fish would be in trouble, in my opinion, on the main roster, just because I have no faith that any faction can survive on the main roster, really,
Yeah.
even when they were together. So it's even worse when they're apart. And yeah, Ali and Ricochet are having classic matches on main event, and that just makes you sad to think about.
So, well, anyway, moving on, and we got Leo Ruff versus Azir Swift. Scott next. Young Dog looked to have Scott's number, nearly winning off a springboard stunner as well as a Frankensteiner. Ruff hit a rebound close that was answered by a discus lariat from Swerve. Recovering quickly, Ruff nearly stole the win with jackknife pin. However, Scott barely kicked out, but was hit with a JML driver for the win. But Ruff attacked Scott backstage, making clear he was not done with Swerve despite losing clean. This was a different side of Ruff. I thought this was a great match, and I really like Ruff's spunk.
I agree 100%. He's been showing a lot more fire, in this feud, and I think it needed to be. Swerve made this personal with the continued not only jumpings of him, but also just the way he's been talking about Ruff, up to this point. So it makes a lot more. It makes sense within the story also that his demeanor would shift a little bit. But these guys, they have such a great chemistry, man. I know I've said that just probably in some of their prior meetings, just because that's just how good these guys work together. Like I said, I think a mixture of the selling of Ruff has not only elevated Swerve, but a mixture of the selling and his promos now have elevated Swerve, but also at the same time the matches and the way they're put together still maintains how resilient and, like you said, the spunkiness of Leon Ruff. So no one is losing anything in this feud. Both guys are elevating, and that don't happen all the time, in my opinion.
No, but I don't know if it's a move to Tuesdays or the momentum from Takeover. But I thought this episode, like we said, we talked about it for a long time, but it kind of gave you everything that you wanted. We see Zoe Stark and Mercedes Martinez exchanging words backstage for another break, and then we get rid of a package promising Imperium's goal to dominate NXT. Got Braxton McKenzie Mitchell that he took Ruff out, but Ruff knocks him down and shoves the storage locker into his head before officials pull him off. Clearly, it's still going on. And then the main event, the Wwe versus Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Dexter Lumis, and Bronson Reed. Hartwell was kept out of the action whenever Lumis was nearby. The women could not directly fight the men in this match, but did not stop them attacking everyone. Ember Moon caught Johnny Gargano with a suicide dive, and Candice Ray DDT'd Lumis outside. The Colosso threw Shotzi onto the crowd outside. Lucky Bronson. Oh, yeah, that was it. The Colossus threw Shotzi Blackheart onto the crowd outside. And I tell you what, Bronson Reed, at that point, I was like, you lucky son of a gun to be able to press slam.
See, I don't know if I should be embarrassed that I had the same thought or not. I don't know, but I agree 100%. I definitely know exactly what you mean without having to even see anything.
I'm glad it wasn't just me. But then the action broke down because Lumis tries to put the silencer on Gargano, but Hartwell flops to her back like she's been injured. Lumis tries to help her up and Theory lays him out with a distraction. Hartwell gets pissed and throws Theory out, then lays herself out in front of Lumis again, who picks her up and carries her to the back. She looks at the camera and winks and gives a thumbs up. Like I said, it's just quality. You can't really argue with that. Reed tells Ember Moon to climb up on his shoulders, and she hits the Eclipse. LeRae throws out. Gargano crotches Reed off the top, nails him with the forearms. They climb up, but get thrown off right onto Theory. LeRae goes up and tries to get Reed up, but he's left dangling in the air. Blackheart gets there under her to dump her onto Gargano, and Reed hits a tsunami on the North American champion for the pin. The way, like I said, one of my favourites, one of our favourites. The matching outfits, and this match was kind of made for them. And Index is really, really good stuff. This match was great. What were your thoughts on all these shenanigans?
Man, that's exactly what they were, shenanigans. This match was fun. This was so fun, just pure fun. I agree. Index is actually a good ship name. I wasn't expecting it. It actually works. It really works. In this scheme was hilarious, and what I like the most is Barrett's reaction versus Belt's reaction, because Belt is excited and like, oh, look at the loving couple, and Barrett is screaming. Lumis is kidnapping Indy Hartwell. I just love the contrast there. That cracked me up. The intergender action in the match was a nice touch, man. It was just pure fun. I loved everything about it, and like you said, everything the Wwe does is just perfect. Pretty much at this point, their characters have all figured out the superhero, like you said, style that their gear and all of that. It works, you know. I love every second of it, and like the index stuff, very very interesting thing. I honestly wasn't expecting much from it at first. I thought this wouldn't last, but it's gone on a while now, and it's actually been compelling television. So nothing but props to Indy and Loomis too. Loomis literally has to no sell all of these matches.
Yeah,
I don't think he got props to the fact that he got to no sell all of the craziness around him every week.
But the thing I love about it as well, especially with this main event, is you're going, oh, Austin Theory, I think he's my favourite. Oh no, Cuckoo Bananas, no, it's Johnny Gargano. and then at the end of it, you're going, I never knew Indy Hartwell was my favourite member of the Way, but she really is tonight.
I agree. It switches. It really does switches. You know, it goes like one of them, you know, cracks you up every time. And it's not even just about comedy. It's smart also. Like Indy's playing, you know, it was just smart to draw his attention. So I really like it.
So we move on to our second episode. We're going to be here for a long time here tonight, but it's going to be worth it. April 20th is the next one. I can't remember if we mentioned the wings to the NXT logo and the skull and the fire that we had. Come to think of it, it might actually be a new theme as well, but it's all shouty stuff to me now. So I don't really, you know what I mean? It's all, and then just the theme. And yeah, I'll just go, all right. Well, after that, Kyle O'Reilly returns. Way back is dumbfounded that he struck to the ring playing air guitar. Happy that he defeated Adam Cole. He says he's put Adam Cole behind him and he's ready to move forward and focus on NXT Championship held by Cameron Cross. And then Cameron Grimes interrupts Kyle O'Reilly. So we've had the Way, and now Cameron Grimes is going, here we go. He wants to set up a business relationship with the man. He offers to watch his back and invest in Kyle O'Reilly. The sunglasses, he's been even get a jacket printed up. O'Reilly basically levels Grimes with the right hand and starts celebrating again. These two do have a personality and it was fun, but wasn't it a very WWE way of setting up a main event with an opening promo?
Yeah, it was definitely. It's literally the WWE way. I don't, you know, that's just very, very, very like WWE. I can't even put it in the right words because. Like, that's just a staple of their programming. But you know, I must say, I wasn't really sure about the Cool Cow stuff. I just didn't like, I don't like someone being called Cool Cow. Because if I think you're cool, I think you're cool. Why you got to tell me you're cool? But anyway, that's besides the point. You know,
no, it's the old, anybody that says, this is quite cool, and you go, it is the fucking opposite of being
exactly
cool.
A perfect example. Michael Cole would do that sometimes. He would say, "Oh, this is so cool," and you just be like, "Yep, you just ruined it, Michael." Even if it was, you ruined it. So, but I don't really know. Exactly. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that as that character switch. But you got to give it time. But Cameron Grimes just makes everything better. It doesn't matter what it is.
Well, we get a video package of Sarai arriving earlier today and being greeted by William Regal. This is where Zoe Stark made a challenge and got her match tonight. And afterward, L.A. Knight talks about his recent history. He says, guess what, dummies? What goes round comes round. Dexter Lumis, you want to put your hands on me right where you're looking at me? I will off your on switch. And that's not a promise. That's a fact of life. Goddamn, kid. Goddamn. So then we get Dexter Lumis versus L.A. Knight. Of course, he's mocking Dexter Lumis too much. Tortured Artist managed to recover. Indy Hartwell caught his attention, though, behind the barricade. And Lumis and Hartwell stared into each other's eyes too long. And Knight took advantage, planting the Tortured Artist with a reverse DDT out of the ropes to win. Finish was sloppy, but still a fan of Index. And Knight picking up the victories. What were your thoughts?
I agree. I think that's what this match was really all about. It was all about adding an extra layer to the Index storyline to continue to tease the crowd, who seems to really want that kiss, by the way. So they let you know that the story they got you right where they want you when you hear that crowd really want them to kiss. So yeah, that was cool. But as far as LA Knight getting the victory, he did a good job of taking advantage of a moment, like in a typical slimy heel fashion. You know what I mean? So it worked out in my opinion from that standpoint. The match was what it was. It was like, as normal of a match in my opinion as you can get, but the story that it told to continue to index stuff worked perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, between the serial killer and the male stripper, I mean, it was you can get really. That's the way it goes. The way dragged India away before, like I said, the two could lock lips. We see Bronson Reed challenging Johnny Gargano, but he said Austin Theory agreed to fight the Colossal next week. Again, this is really funny saying like, no, I can beat him, and Johnny's just getting so frustrated as well.
I got his number. Theory,
yeah,
no, you don't. And but by the way, he also said, Johnny Gargano said, "I love it when you call me Big Papa Johnny," and I died. I had to write it down when he said it. Big Papa Johnny. That's what I'm saying. It's just be one little thing in everything they do. One of those things. You just like, these guys, like Johnny's insane.
Honestly, it is comic gold at this moment in time. We see Laura Ross said he enjoyed beating up Azir Scott last week. The Bulls knew or caught Swerve, it's your move. Then we get Beth Phoenix interviewing Io Shirai. She's her 300-plus day reign came to an end. She said Raquel was my biggest and toughest challenge, but she said, what's next? She's going to rest. She defended the title over 300 days. Her body needs time. But then Frankie Monet dogs interrupts and goes, hello. No, he doesn't, because dogs don't talk. It's silly. He says, I'm Frankie Monet, she says. Congratulations on an amazing iconic title reign. And then she says, Beth, I'm such a fan. Of course, Phoenix doesn't like that. And Shirai looks at Monet and says, I like cats. Which, again, was good stuff. Io is just so cool. Obviously, she deserves to be on the main roster at some point. Is this a way of her? Look, I know usually when you leave a promotion or, when you get moved up, you lose. And, of course, Frankie Monet beating Io Shirai would be huge. But does that really need to happen? Or Io just go up on the main roster and just have it like that? Because she's put...
I would prefer... Yeah, I agree. I prefer Io to just go. I think she's done everything she needs to do in NXT. She doesn't have to put over a Frankie Monet, even though I can understand why, NXT may feel that way, if you see what I'm saying, because, it'd be a great way to establish Frankie as someone, to take seriously. She beats, former, NXT champion. But I don't think they, like you said, I don't think they necessarily need to do that or have to do that. I honestly believe this. I believe this is actually one of those times where someone said they're taking a break, and I believe they really are. Because the only reason why I say that is because she has not been at home in Japan through this entire, pandemic. So it'll be nice, in my opinion, if they were to allow her to go back home, refresh, see family and friends, you know what I mean? And then you can decide whether you want to just continue, debut her on the main roster, or is there anything left for her to accomplish in NXT? But personally, in my opinion,
yeah, completely.
Unless you're gonna get her in a tag team and let her be a tag team champion, I don't see anything else that she needs to do or prove to anyone.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I said, she's completed NXT now, so it's time to move up and on. Well, up next we get Breezango versus Grizzled Young Veterans. Breezango come out wearing the Queen's Guard outfits, pretend to march back and forth as they do. And of course, the Grizzled Young Vets aren't happy. But the rules are that you can't move as a Royal Guard. That didn't last long because we actually got a match. So that kind of, I was going, the philosophy of them being looked like that is really taken away from this. As an Englishman, as we were. But again, this wasn't a bad match with Grizzly Young Vets in most of control, and the speed and ingenuity of the team as well. They stacked him up for a ticket to Mayhem for the win. This was a really enjoyable match. Grizzly Young Vets, of course, are on the up. Suppose Breezango, I know we've had some releases recently in WWE and all this lot. I think we've talked about it before. Breezango, should they just be happy in the position they're in, that they've got a position at this moment in time?
I mean, if you want to take it, if you want to look at it through the context of, like you said, so all the people who have come and gone, yeah. But I honestly think based on their talent, based on what they both can do, not only as a team, but, even individually, because I think in the ring, they're great. Maybe it's a gimmick switch, they've been doing this Breezango thing for a long time. Fandango has. I don't 2014, 15 when Fandango officially showed up and the song and all that. Like he's been doing that character and not really been serious ever as long as I've known him pretty much in WWE. So it'll be nice if they could actually give him something else, some type of character switch at some point. But same thing with Breeze, who other than the supermodel gimmick, I've never seen him really get a chance to do anything else. And I'm not saying that the supermodel gimmick needs to go or needs to come back in any way, but I am saying that those guys are too talented, in my opinion, to just, like you said, be grateful for their position. They have good enough matches, and they have the potential, in my opinion, not only just as a team, but just as wrestlers, to really bring value, not only to NXT, but even on the main roster. So I just think they just need, like maybe a repackaging character-wise, because, after a while, we've seen Breezango. We've seen that be done many times, whether they're champions or not. So, I think that's run its course. But they have the talent to be more than just, expansion talent or, putting over the other guys.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Well, up next, Cameron Grimes vows to put Kyle O'Reilly back in the hospital, but first he wants to show off the NFT he just bought. Unfortunately, he was outbid for it by Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase screams in frustration and leaves. We're going to get more of that later. Up next, Sarai versus Zoe Stark, the Warrior Sun. The entrance was okay, nothing special, very generic theme. And Beth Phoenix and commentary says Sarai's a real deal. She names everyone from Aya Kong to Miko Satomura in Sarai, which again, it's so simple yet gets forgotten sometimes when they're kind of debuting superstars. And then into the match, and this is a very back and forth match between the two, actually, quite a bit of a surprise. Stark pulls Sarai up to her feet. Sarai fights out with elbows. Stark grabs her by the trunk. Sarai with a spinning heel kick, and then with a suplex, she hooks her leg and she gets the pin. Both impressed here. Sarai only 5 feet. I think it's Alexa Bliss coming through because she proved size didn't matter. 5 feet of fury. I don't maybe think Sarai would have an opportunity if it wasn't for that. I might be wrong, but I think that's kind of the way we've seen in the women's division now as well, where we talk about size, it doesn't really matter either.
It really doesn't. And you know what? I don't know, man. That 5 feet thing really got to me. The only reason why I say that is because if she's 5 feet, and maybe I just need to see them next to each other, and that's the reason why I don't know. I'm like, what was Io? She looks taller than me than the Io was, and she looks like right around Asuka's, a little bit shorter maybe than Asuka, who was like 5'3", I believe, or something like that. So, it's only 2. It's inches. We're talking about inches here, so it's not. You're not going to see that much of a noticeable difference, I guess, if she's 5 foot, But anyway, it amazes to me when they was talking about that. But I thought this was a great debut for Sarai. And I also want to point out that for someone who's relatively new to NXT herself, Zoe Stark, they have a lot of trust in what she can do. And I think she's done a great job of, establishing just with her performances also why, you can see why they have a lot of trust, not only in this match, but in her matches with, other more veteran, or more, established talents in the division. So I just thought it was a real nice spot for 2 newer guys. 2 newer girls. I'm looking at something on my television, and that's why I said that. But anyway, yeah.
Don't tell us what you're watching. No, I completely agree, because this is a beautiful thing of the women's division where you go, oh, I got Frankie Monet, we've got Sarai coming in, and Zoe Stark, who, like I said, upset victory over Toni Storm, and then putting her in matches, even coming up short, but showing off what she can do. And now you're thinking to yourself, like a month after seeing her, oh, she's actually someone in the women's division. Look what they did with Gonzalez, just with the kind of the squash matches and the hype videos to get to that point as well. It just works,
I agree 100%. And they have a formula now, and they did a great job mentioning that the women who come before her, and even mentioned Shinsuke Nakamura's run. So yeah, they have a formula now, and they perfected it. And William Regal said it best: this division is only getting better.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we go to Raquel and Dakota. She says, I was a great champion, but I'll be damned if I'm to kick ass, to kick everybody else to prove I'll be even better. Go ahead and line them up one by one, and I'll take them all down. I would not disagree with her. Candice LeRae tries to drag Indy Hartwell to challenge Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, but Hartwell abandons her to go looking for Dexter Loomis, and she promises to get jumped by the Women's Tag Team Champions until one beatdown in their private locker room. Again, it's a little backstage segment, but just gives you laughs and everything like that. It's just really, really good stuff. We get a video package of Kushida defeating Santos Escobar, and then we get Kushida's Open Challenge. This was a fucking awesome video, recalling last week. It makes it look like they planned it because they had all the tweets and all the Japanese press and everything like this. And like I said, for me, the best wrestler of 2021 in NXT. And then only Lorcan came out, and I thought this would be awesome, and it was, because we see Lorcan escaping from the hoverboard, but only for so long before being thrown to the mat and forced to tap out after hitting a few nice stiff shots there. After Legado del Fantasma ambushed the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, MSK arrives to even the odds, and the faces stood tall in the ring. This was great. The match and what happened after, all spot on,
I agree 100%. Everything about this was great. The international, press, like you said, was such a nice touch. And, it just showed you how much of a big deal he is internationally because of the headlines, that it caught. It just showed you, he's a legend, around the world. And it's great to see him, like you said, break through and finally, start to establish some of that stuff, some of that style in, WWE and NXT. The match with Oney Lorcan was great as expected. I don't know what else could you expect from those guys. Like you said, Kushida doesn't really have bad matches, and Oney, whether it's singles, tag team, he's kind of that same ilk. I think if you just give him time, he's gonna do exactly what you just said. It's gonna be great catch wrestling, great grappling submission. So, I thought this was really, really cool, and I love that. Immediately after winning the championship, instead of just showing a video package and saying what his reign will be like, we get a video package and we actually get a match to establish, what his reign will be like. And I love every second of it.
Well, afterwards, Mercedes Martinez tells Raquel Gonzalez that she's nothing but a lapdog for Dakota Kai. She vows to take Kai out of the equation so she can get a shot. You can't argue with that. And then we get Gargano's arguing with Theory when we come back. A disheveled LeRae sits down next to them. Hartwell interrupts before she can explain what happened to her. Hartwell says that Gargano and Theory are getting a tag team title shot thanks to Mr. Regal. So they all celebrate and leave poor LeRae all by herself. We then get Everrise versus Imperium. Alexander Wolf accompanies Fabi Knight and Marcel Barthel to ring. Only that two are the ones competing with Everrise. Competing, more like squashing. Kenny Dane and Drake Maverick tried to distract the Hills, yet Imperium took the win easily with elevated uppercut for the win. So we know Robert Stone is a Tony Khan rib. Obviously what he done. But the Everrise are the Young Bucks of, Everrise and the Young Bucks. It's because look, they've even got a show on Saturday morning social media. And like, what the fuck? What are they going to call it? Do you know what I mean? Like, right. It's being the Ever, and it's just like, it's the comparisons. Why am I crazy? Has anybody else? I'm not the only one, surely.
I didn't even think about that. I that's a great point. They're like a spoof version of that. Like a spoof of it, and that would explain why they have no chance in pretty much every match they're in, and that would explain why they're pretty much both like Stone and Everrise are pretty much. Matter of fact, that's who Stone need to attract next. Go ahead, they'll be perfect. They fit right in. They fit right in with the brand.
I mean, I just don't understand it. But I'm questioning with Imperium, is it going to be Killian Dane or Timothy Thatcher joining them, or are they going to throw us like a curveball with that? It'll be interesting to see what we have. And then Karrion Kross and Scarlett stare a hole for Kyle O'Reilly to make his way to the ring to start the main event versus Cameron Grimes. We see Grimes trying to take advantage of a crossface, but Kyle O'Reilly showed he was far more natural technical looking a heel hook. The damage built up with Kyle O'Reilly was clearly far from 100%. O'Reilly barely blocked the cave-in, hit a roundhouse. The kick count has continued. Finally, Kyle O'Reilly won with a diving knee drop to the back. It was a really good match, but a couple of things. Should this have been the main event? And for me personally, we talked about the Cool Carl character. I saw more personality from Grimes than I did from O'Reilly, and that worries me slightly.
I agree 100%. I think Kyle even said it in his promo that he usually let his actions in the ring speak for him, and I think that fits him the best. He's much more. He does much better, in my opinion. If you keep what he has to say, even though I think he's great at sarcastic. Like, if you ever listen to him get a chance to do interviews, or the few chances he actually do talk, he can be entertaining. It's just, I agree 100%. When you're trying to establish Kyle O'Reilly's personality, you putting him in the ring or around the wrong guy, because Cameron is all personality, if you see what I'm trying to say, all character. So I think it really shows where Kyle O'Reilly is lacking when he's involved with someone like a Cameron Grimes, because of how strong Cameron Grimes' character is. Especially now with the the money man gimmick. So I agree 100%. Cameron Grimes definitely showed a lot more coolness or character, in my opinion, than what Kyle O'Reilly had to show. But yeah, in the ring, Kyle O'Reilly has it all, in my opinion. In the ring, submissions, kicks, all of it. I love his style. I love the way he fights. I like it. But as far as that character goes, I really want to see what else they do, because just throwing a jean jacket, I saw a lot of people saying he looked like the off-brand Orange Cassidy. I don't think they was going for it. I don't think Orange Cassidy I don't think it's gimmick infringement to wear denim or whatever. but because some people, that's what I actually saw, that people actually think it's gimmick infringement just to wear denim, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But anyway, I think putting him in there with someone like a Grimes definitely shows that where he lacks as far as his personality goes.
Oh, without a doubt. But another good episode of NXT. We move on to the next one, the 27th of April. We start off with Dakota Kai versus Mercedes Martinez. We get short on clothesline, puts Kai down, and Martinez howls with anger. Chops and forearms follow Martinez with a double underhook suplex. Not once, not twice, but thrice. Martinez snaps the left arm, and Kai falls out the floor in pain. Gonzalez tried to attack Martinez when she was outside, but missed. Martinez does not miss and gives her a forearm before getting in the ring. Martinez hoists Kai up on his shoulders, and Gonzalez given a boot to the face for the DQ, and Gonzalez whips her into barricade, mouths off, and throws her into ring post. It sounds like she's saying, I run this place, I'm the champion, in Spanish, but I'm not 100% sure. Martinez and lawn dance her into the barricade. Kai hands Gonzalez her women's title. She puts it over her right shoulder, still talking smack. It's a good match until the DQ. Then, oh my God, Gonzalez javelins Martinez. Yes, I've said it again. What a killer.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and the thing is, spots like that, they work so well with Raquel also, because no one else really in the division is going to be doing things like that. Lauren Dart, someone like that in that fashion, like we said, we talk about some of the other people's stature, when she, her, using her size to her advantage to dominate no matter who she's in the ring with. And like you said, that spot, nasty, absolutely nasty.
Down. Then we get Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell. Moon, it's the same tricks. It's just a new day, and we all know they lost their way. They're given flowers, and Frankie Monet interrupts to read the card attached. She says, "Love, Dexter Loomis." She's stirring shit. Indy will not be happy about this. Mm-hmm. And then we get Grimes. He's shopping for some bling bling, and he wants the most extravagant watch that's in the city. And Jordan says, yeah, something for him, but you have to wait until part 2, because back in the ring, the Grizzled Young Veteran have something to say. The thing is, and one of the things I watch a bit with Japanese wrestling, and I watch with these guys as well, especially English wrestlers, is the language. Because I never thought I would hear Zach Gibson saying about MSK, they're a great team, but personally, they're the 2 biggest knobheads I've ever met in my life. It's just the knobheads, like wanker, all this kind of stuff. And I don't think WWE know it's that bad.
That's the funniest part about it. I think they have no clue.
They really don't. I'm like, that's so foul, And the Grizzly Young Vets say they're soon to be recognised as NXT Tag Team Champions, but then Tommaso Ciampa and Thatcher interrupt. He says there's a lot of strengths, but they're looking at some video packages, and they saw one show, NXT UK Takeover Cardiff, Shoes off if you hate Gibson. Thatcher starts singing it, and Ciampa takes off his left shoe to bonk both men in the head. The Grizzled Young Vets bow out of the ring, and the other Grizzled Young Veterans celebrate. I do love the Grizzled Young Vets, but to be fair, I don't trust Thatcher as far as Gonzalez can throw him when it comes to teaming up with Tommaso Ciampa.
I agree 100%. That's the thing that's been in the back of my mind this entire thing. When is it gonna happen? It's just, and that's crazy. Like, they actually haven't showed that many signs of it. They haven't really teased it other than like the Imperium possibility. They haven't really teased it strongly. And I'm just waiting for it, just waiting, because I know it'll come. I agree with you. I don't trust him at all, but I will say that them two together, I'm surprised at how well they fit. I don't know if that just means Ciampa would fit well with anyone who wrestles the style that Thatcher wrestles. I don't know. Yeah. But like just Ciampa just fits well in general and teams. I don't know, but I really like them together.
No, really, really good stuff. And then backstage, Drake Maverick says, a tag team match tonight with Imperium. I wonder how that came about. And Dane says, same way you always get it, I asked. Maverick says he knows he'll get jumped by Imperium. But Dane says, in the immortal words of a great man, you've got to have faith. Did he just quote George Michael on me? I think it was just a careless whisper.
Man, I need a drum roll.
Boom. Yeah. Thank you. I'm here all night. Hey, no. We then get a promo from Zia Lee flanked by Boa as we go to a break. And then we get Swerve Scott as recording studio again. He says Leon Ruff is a coward for blindsiding him. Swerve didn't think you had it in you. As the obvious, the ring can't contain us anymore. I'm going to propose something. Since the ball's in my court, falls count anywhere. The match is booked for next week on NXT. And you mentioned this earlier. I'm just going to pick up what you put down. Swerve, the heel personality, the confidence that he is oozing, for me, just feels so star-like. And it's just clicked with me, with him, and him in NXT. I just love this, and I think he can go all the way to the top. Personally,
I agree 100%. I think he believes in it too. You can tell he's invested in this, and I feel it. You can just see when he looks into. Sometimes he gives a look into the camera, or he gives you that smile, that confidence, and it's there. And I agree 100%. I'm expecting a really big rest of the year for Swerve.
Without a doubt. And then we get Tony Storm versus Zayda Ramir. And Storm says, Zoe Stark, you owe me a thank you at TakeOver. I made you famous. People only know you because of me. And you're a footnote career. She says, I'm going to slap the rookie. I'm going to imagine it's you. She hits Ramir with a big boot. Ramir tries to fight back with shots to the gut, but it's taken down with an uppercut. Storm looks to go to the Storm Zero, but she slows Ramir down, picks her up, sets on the top rope. She climbs to the underhook, and Zoe Stark gets the apron to distract Storm. It's enough for Ramir to fight back with right hands as she jumps off the top rope for a shooting star press to pin Storm. So your winner is Zayda Ramirez. Barrett said he was terrified watching the shooting star press, and so was I. She barely got all the way right. Yeah. She got to that, and I'm going, get round.
Ooh, it was close. Mighty close.
But I mean, very, very impressive stuff. And see that Dynamite, 2 women's matches back to back. It can be done. You see, very simple. But I think it's good stuff.
I agree. That's a great point. And also, do you see that WWE, you can establish a jobber easily? Just all you got to do is make it make sense within the story, and now we have someone else who to watch out for in the division. Even if she did, probably, we know she got lucky, right? But now she got a victory over Toni Storm. That's the type of booking, those are the type of decisions, the things you don't expect. That's the type of thing that I love in my wrestling. I hate when I know, or we watch wrestling, a lot of wrestling. So after a while, you kind of can almost predict what's coming, and I don't like that. I love it when they throw a monkey wrench in my thought process, and that's exactly what they did here. And yeah, she cut it close, but I'm glad she made it, because imagine if it didn't work, man.
We would have gone and on to our next match between Toni Storm and Zayda Ramir, and unfortunately Zayda landed on her head. She was going.
You know how the tone. You know how the announcer started whispering barely.
God.
It would have been one of those, because that's a scary spot, man.
it's something terrible has happened in the ring, and we're going to go backstage now. And like I said, we're lucky that she did it. And backstage, Santos Escobar said that Legado del Fantasma will make a statement in the main event. And then Bronson Reed is walking to the ring for his match, but Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae are staring holes through him. And then Austin says to him, "Hey, you guys are in the..." He's such a goofball. Like little things like that. And I go, oh, do you know what? You actually do make me laugh. But Reed gets a title shot at Gargano if he wins next in his match. Before it, though, we get a promo from L.A. Knight saying, "Indy, let me talk to you. You did a bang-up job of putting it on for the camera. There's a twinkle in your eye that tells me there's a tingle in your loins, and there ain't nothing to be ashamed of. I've got a lot of references you can ask anybody. When you be disappointed by Dexter Lumis, you can call me. That's not an insult. That's a fact of life." Wow, not many can get away with that type of promo nowadays.
When he said her loins, I was like, whoa, her loins, huh? Hilarious. Yeah, that might be the best one. The best one he's given. That old school style. I agree. It's kind of cool that they let him go that far. And that's. I hate to say it, and I don't have a problem with it because there's a lot of guys who's like that. I'm not really impressed with him in the ring. I never really have been, but I must say that the promos have definitely at least kept me watching LA Knight, and I couldn't do it when he was Eli Drake. The channel was changing. LA Knight, I still, at least want to see what he's talking about. So I give him props on that front.
Well, one team we don't want to hear from is Everrise as they try to cut a promo from Mackenzie Mitchell. She says she's not interested. Neither are we. And then we go to our match, Bronson Reed versus Austin Theory. So we see Reed was sent on for a near fall, the way distraught as they watch from ringside, except Indy, who's still pouting, of course. Theory goes to the suplex, Reed reversal, leaving both men down in the middle. Dexter Lumis walks out from the back of the way, looking in the ring. I haven't noticed him until he gets a few feet away. Gargano panics and pulls LeRae away. Hartwell tries to walk away, but Lumis keeps walking after her. I mean, that's what I do with women. Right. I'll just not say anything and follow them. And you works out, I'll say usually. Hartwell rolls into the ring to get in the way. Theory charges and collides with Lumis after he shoves Hartwell away out of harm's way. Really goes to the top rope for the Tsunami and picks up the win and the title shot. Barrett was Barrett again. Wade Barrett, congratulations. Quoting Billie Jean on commentary again. NXT seems to have, I don't know if it's just you and I, but they don't take themselves too seriously, and it's just such an enjoyable show. The backstage things of the way, or Cameron Grimes, or even Barrett on commentary with a relationship with Vic Joseph and Beth Phoenix. It's just brilliant, I
agree. I think they have such a great chemistry. All three of them. They like you said, they even have, like you said, great comedic timing. It's just like, I don't know what Triple H and feud. I don't know if this just is NXT only booked by DX's version of Triple H. When he's just trying to make you laugh constantly, trying to pop you. I don't understand, but either way it goes, I agree. They do a really good job at that, and it's a lot of things that defy logic sometimes. Like you said, Dexter Lumis again completely ignores consent, and because as she's walking away, she's telling them no, and, that's supposed to be enough for you to actually listen to the woman, right? Not for good old Dex. He's just gonna keep creeping and walking his way through. But guess what, guys? We're supposed to cheer that guy.
He's a hero.
Hasn't said or done anything remotely heroic. But I like this guy.
He's kidnapped 3 or 4 people now. I mean, come on.
And we're supposed to be okay with it because Theory said he enjoyed his time. Yeah. Stockholm Syndrome does not mean he's a good guy.
Well, that's a problem, but it's a really good match and story. And of course, Reed is getting momentum, and then Kushida and MSK are backstage. They say they're excited tonight. It's going to be 3-on-3 on NXT, and Kushida says, "Tonight, let's show them we are the champions." MS Kushida. And then we see Gargano, LeRae, and Theory are pumping up Indy Hartwell backstage, saying that Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart are trying to steal her man. And it's now abundantly clear that LeRae sent the NXT Women's Championship the flowers and the card. Hartwell Fury, go find them and do some damage. Time for another. Again, it's the way like the glue that holds this show together, because you can have 4 or 5 backstage segments in a show to set up where it's going, and even the kind of the cards and Indy Hartwell. It's just, I don't want to keep putting it over, but it's just really, really fun. And then we get Imperium versus Drake Maverick and killing Dane. And again, we see the storyline here with Barthel yanking Dane off the apron and Nightmare kicking Maverick in the head from behind, 2-1 beating in the corner. Dane comes in and cleans house, legal or not. The ref tries to send him out. As he sends Imperium out, Dane gets a boot to the face on the floor from Barthel in trouble. And he orders Alexander Wolf to whack Dane with a steel chair, but Wolf refuses to do it. Maverick dies while the two argue. Dane throws Maverick back in the ring, goes back on the work outside. Of course, he gets pinned in the end with a Euro bomb for the pin, and Imperium get the win. But it's just brilliant, because it's him thinking Dane will turn. Him actually saying, "You're going to turn on me, I know." And then Alexander Wolf showing a little bit of human side to him as well, you know?
It's just beautiful stuff, man. And like you said, I wasn't expecting. This is when it began to say, "Wow, so are they actually teasing that Wolf could possibly end up separating from Imperium?" You know, like, that's when it started to kind of ring in my head that, okay, so they're telling, 2-3 different stories here at once. Like you said, the dissension between Maverick and Dane, and Maverick expecting to be turned on, and and Dane, like you said, the past with Wolf, but at the same time, Wolf is in a different place now. Dane is in a different place now. Do they want to go back to the place they were when they were, like, together in Sanity? Do they, like you said, do Alexander Wolf? I think at first he wanted Dane to join him, but it seems like now he's even considering, other options himself. So it's just a lot of great storytelling elements, and whoever has been coming up, adding layers to this story, they've done a great job. And I just want to know, where does this culminate? Like you said, do we get a stronger Imperium in the end? Or do we get a new tandem or faction of some sort in any kind of way? I don't know. I just can't wait to see where this goes.
Like I said, it's just really, really good stuff. And then Pete Dunne, of course, saying he could take on anybody. Says, "Karen Cross, you don't intimidate me. I don't need smoke and mirrors. When I walk in the room, the mood changes. I'm the baddest man in NXT. Try to prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, I dare ya." I just like the accent, because I'm so used to kind of, "Hey, man, I'm going to beat you at whatever it is," and we're getting "I tell you, I'm going to beat you. I don't care." Okay, it's just fun,
right? And I think in the past, a lot of foreign, like people who were not from America, when they came to WWE, they would try, like you said, to fit in and try to hide their accent more. I mean, I love it. Like you said, Drew, even on the main roster, Drew and Sheamus, that nothing's more Irish than Sheamus's accent. nothing is as Scottish as when Drew, really gets going in his promos. And I just, like you said, I love it. Finn Balor, when he was the champion, on top, adding extra, a little extra accent on, just to make it stronger. Like, those are things that we didn't see, like you said, years ago. So it's just so cool to see that. And then it adds something, in my opinion, to Pete Dunne, because he looks like a tough bastard, if you see what I'm trying to say. It matches up with his style. So everything he says fits very well within the story that Pete Dunne tells, consistently with his, every match he had.
It's just, like I said, it's really, really good stuff when it comes all round at this moment in time. And the thing is, NXT, when it does deliver bad, or if it does, then we will call it. But at the moment, it's just, it really is in a really good place. And it's even like, we go back to Cameron Grimes. Of course, he wanted to find a new timepiece. He decided in the shop that he wanted to spend the most money he could on it. And Grimes took a new look at his new watch. But then all of a sudden, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, appeared out of nowhere and said it wasn't a bad piece, kid, but it's not $1 Million watch. He then revealed a much nicer watch and did his signature laugh in Grimes' face. Ted exited the jewelry store as frustrated Grimes looked on. And even put on Twitter, was like, that damn Ted DiBiase, my grits. And of course, we've finally seen Ted DiBiase appearing on NXT TV. There's been rumors for this happening for ages. We've been wanting it for a long, long time. Well, I'm really, really pleased. My only question for you is, where can this go now? Because I think there's possibilities there, even between the two. But what are your thoughts on the whole segment? Because this was laugh out loud funny as well.
Oh man, everything he's like I said, he's been doing has been great. I've been like you said, ever since the beginning when he's been doing this, Ted DiBiase thing. I couldn't wait for Ted to show up because I knew it would just fit perfectly. By the way, Ted DiBiase still has the greatest heel, cocky, rich man laugh ever.
I can't do it justice. Yeah, exactly.
Right, it's annoying on purpose, so obnoxious, and it just still perfect. It still hits perfectly at his current age. And he looks really good, by the way. He looks, really good. The only thing is different now is that he's much grayer, but other than that, the face, all that still looks good to me. So, he's always been a great mouthpiece. So I think, maybe a relationship between him and Grimes, maybe it started off as a little, as he's been one-upping Grimes so far. But maybe it develops into maybe Ted DiBiase managing Grimes at some point or managing someone else, at some point. I don't know but they have a lot of options there. Part of me was like, oh, they're going to go to, I think recently, not too long ago, AEW had Tully Blanchard in the ring. I was like, I don't really see that happening. I don't see DiBiase in the ring.
We're going to see a blood and guts match between DiBiase and Grimes.
Exactly. Or like, I think my fiance, she was like, are they really considering to let Grimes, fight DiBiase? And I'm like, wow, won't that be something?
That would be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to see it. I don't want anybody to think.
It's not gonna be next takeover match, but you never know.
But yes, I love it. They've done great. Their character work is there. It's perfect. They have a lot of possibility to go. And like you said, it's always a good thing. They pace this so well. It's like NXT give you some serious wrestling promos or a serious match, and then they give you comedy, and then they throw another couple of serious promos in there, and then another, something funny happens on commentary, and then you have a Cameron Grimes segment. Like, it's just paced perfectly, in my opinion. And I think Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase, their little back and forth, have been a great touch to NXT since they went to Tuesday nights.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we get up next Jessie Kamea and Nymph versus Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. But before the match can even begin, the Ray and Hart will come out and attack Blackheart and Moon as they're being handed gifts of fruits and cupcakes from the stage crew. Robert Stone acts like his protege. He's just won the title, but since the match never began, how could it be even possible? Officially, the match is a no contest, but I'm sure he'll take a picture of that and put it on his mantelpiece. We then get an interview with Adam Cole, who was preoccupied. He said he's not bothered by his loss with Kyle O'Reilly. He saw himself the face of NXT, and he laughed at the idea that Riley or Cross could take his spot. The camera showed O'Reilly watching the interview, shaking his head, so we are not finished with that one. And then we get a teaser of Diamond Mine. We did talk, I think a couple of maybe updates ago, about Evolve and maybe a kind of harder hitting show on the WWE Network to showcase more kind of MMA style fights or stuff like this, or is this a group coming? I mean, what were your thoughts when you first saw this?
I had more questions than answers, honestly. Like you said, not like bad, like not like, oh man, what is this crap or nothing. I'm interested. I want to see where is this going. Is this, like you said, the new promotion, or like you said, is this a new, more MMA style group that will be, just taking down everyone because of their legitimate backgrounds or something like that. That's another thought process that went through the Diamond Mine. I like the name. I must say that. The logo, I don't necessarily know if it's a show, since the way it premiered is like on NXT, and they would have, if it's a show, they probably would have, teased more of a date or only on the network or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe they just, like you said, easing us into it and just, playing around. But even if it's just a group with that, I think that would work, actually. It'd be nice to see a woman and a couple guys, 3 guys maybe, or maybe 2 women, 2 guys, however we want to work it out, who with legit MMA background, maybe speaking of Roderick Strong earlier, Marina Shafir, I know they have legitimate MMA backgrounds. I know they've been in developmental for a while, her and Jessamine Duke, but I know we wanted them to stick with Shayna Baszler. I know a lot of people did at first, but I can see that maybe, but I don't know. It depends on who. They have a lot of people in the Performance Center with MMA backgrounds at this point. You know, it's not too many wrestlers who don't really blend the two at this moment, even on their current NXT roster. You know, but I'm excited to see what it is, and I don't know, but yeah, I can't wait to let this flesh out and see what's coming.
But again, it's another interesting thing of we see that and we're not 100% sure what it is. It's not like, Frankie Monet or something like, oh, okay, we know definitely who this is. There is a bit of guesswork, which adds intrigue, especially like we talked about, when you've been a fan for so long and it's something that you're not 100% sure of, then it does breed a little bit of excitement and it is a little bit different.
I agree. That's what it's all about, in my opinion. You know, you get that intrigue. You know, sometimes some of the worst things, some of my least favorite times in pro wrestling is when I feel like they could have surprised us, but they chose not to. You know, I hate when sometimes wrestling companies, we'll just show a graphic that they're here tonight instead of just letting it be a genuine surprise or whatever it is. So, I like being teased, and the thing is about that though is, when you tease, you gotta deliver when it's time. So I can't wait to see what's coming.
Yeah, I would agree with that there. And then on to the main event, we get Legado del Fantasma versus MSK or MS Kushida. We're nice to see the Mexican Avengers with the LDF entrance coming out. And then into the match, we're on the outside. Escobar yanks Kushida down and slams him through the announce table. And at this point, I'm going, there's still a match going on. They don't normally do this, but Mendoza takes that Carter with his steel steps. Lee is all alone in the ring trying to overcome the odds 3-on-1. Carter has called his way back to the corner and got the tag rope. Lee makes a tag. Carter kicks for everyone. Kushida sells his arm and stumbled into the ring. Phantom drive from Escobar to Kushida. Carter gets double teamed for the pin, and that's it. What a face team this was, but LDF get the win. And what a fucking match this was as well.
Yeah, this match was really, really good. I enjoyed it. Watching both teams come together and do what they do best. It made a lot of sense, Legado, pointing out that they weren't the team pinned, and, so they have unfinished business. We know what Santos and Kushida had going. I agree. When the table spot happened, I really was like, okay, what is going on here? And then once it all came together, I was like, you know what? That was really well done. I really like, that, because that does, and again, another thing that you see that doesn't happen often, so anytime that happens is always cool, and especially when it makes sense within the story. These, MSK and Kushida are close. Kushida has helped them since they've come into the company, and we all know what Legado is all about. So with those guys and the way that it all mixes together, and the brutality that they showed. Also, they showed aggressive. It was a great way of establishing. Hold on. I may have lost my belt, especially from Santos. I may have lost the belt, but we're still a force to be reckoned with, and we're coming for our gold again. So it was beautiful, and I liked the story and the outcome. So it was cool.
Yeah, another good episode of NXT. Up next on May 1st, we got NXT referee Jake Wirtz. He's made headlines recently for his radical views and now posted a statement in response to that. Wirtz was suspended by WWE earlier this year and has received demotions within the NXT system. Of course, he was the head referee for quite some time. My wife says some folks are apparently writing about our radical views. Human trafficking is modern day slavery and we seek to eradicate it. Abortion is murder and needs to be abolished. Children in my community that are being forced by local governments to wear a mask for 8 hours a day against their parents' wishes is abuse. We have a God-ordained duty to speak up for the least of these and a petition to prevent harm from children. He says with children wearing masks, will be more susceptible to being molested. Any predators that are actually out there. You should obey God rather than men. I should tell Drake Wirtz as well that Joey Ryan is quoting the Bible as well, if you want to join him together for a little bit of a study. Now, I don't normally go into this, because like I said, people have got different views with different things. But I think when this is just so abrasive, when he thinks he can just make these comments and expect nothing to be done from it in this day and age, I kind of lose all respect for this guy,
I agree. And, that's the thing. It was fun. He was one of the only refs who in NXT I knew their names,
Yeah.
So that's like you said, he was a head referee. He was one of those guys that I saw all the time. He's irregularly tan, in my opinion. Well, I ain't gonna say irregularly, but he's very, very tan, very, very tan. Anyway, besides that though, yeah, I don't, his comments, like you said, the details of them, that some people feel that way. A lot, I know, I can personally speak for myself. He lost me. He really did lose me when you try to use, of course, human trafficking is definitely serious, and I agree, it definitely is something to be taken seriously, but I don't see how wearing a mask honestly would make it any easier or harder than it is to walk off with a child. You know what I mean? In a situation anyway, if you see what I'm trying to say. Like, like it happens. Like, I've seen it literally is hard to tell if a child walks off willingly with an adult. It happens with or without the mask. So the point with the mask is like, what are you even talking about? But anyway,
yeah. Well, but maybe it's his problem because then he can't tell if if someone is attracted
that's what
or
I'm
not.
saying.
Like,
That's what,
I just
exactly.
don't.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Because if anything, like you said, maybe that would, the obscuring a child's face could, would help with age. You can hide the youth of the child kind of without the size, of course. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm not trying to get into the details of that.
Yeah,
because that you can do that. We can do a whole show about that. But anyway, besides that though, I can't believe this is what it is. It's the fact that I don't think he thought anything would happen because of it, and that's what I don't really understand. I don't see how you can come out, say some of the things you said, especially the stuff about abortion, and don't think any ramifications at all, whether the company distancing themselves from you or not, any of that stuff. I don't see how you don't think that that's a possibility.
No, it's just crazy. But I thought I'd bring it up because people might be wondering where he is at this moment in time, and that is what he's doing. On to the May 4th episode. Of course, the WNR anniversary was the same day as the episode of NXT, live from the Capitol Wrestling Center. There's no time to waste. Here we go. It's Leon Rush versus Azir Swift. Scott falls count anywhere. Ruff ran right into a knee from the off. He caught catching a suicide dive into a Death Valley driver on the apron by Swerve. Was incredible. We get the toolbox come into play. The look on Ruff's face as well as he's getting worked on with the eyes kind of poking out of his head is unbelievable. And then the poison rana off the apron by Ruff to Swerve was just something else as well. And I'm watching this, and I've been watching NXT, for years. And I'm going, everyone's pulling it out at the moment. It's like that main event we just had with Kushida and MSK. And now I'm watching this one, I'm going, this is unbelievable as well. We see the toolbox smack the leg of Swerve to set up a frog splash for a near full of his own. We get a series of springboard cutters, and he got the win for Ruff, but he wants to make the exclamation mark, climbing off the top of a nearby stage. That's when AJ Francis appeared to catch the underdog, setting up Swerve to plant Ruff with a JML driver for the win. Other members of Swerve Club celebrated for him up the ramp. I mean, this has been a very strong undercard story. Which is, kind of one of the bonuses for NXT moving from 2 hours from 1 hour, which maybe we've not talked a lot about. But this match was brilliant. The emotions was fantastic. And like we talk about, Swerve's heel character shone through again.
Yes, he shined perfectly. And like I said, Ruff, again, is such a perfect, baby face because not only is he so resilient in his selling, like I said, he sells like he's so great. Like he did it with Gargano. He was just such a good at selling and just putting over what his opponent is doing, and it makes the heel in that case look like $1 million. And it helps that Swerve is so talented and he can do so many cool things himself. And then, like I said, they work well together. This match, the storyline culminated in the right fashion, in my opinion, based on everything they had been through. And I agree, this is something that you don't get a chance, especially if you're like me and you was just watching the main roster for a long time. This is one of those things that I really like, especially like you point out with 2 hours of NXT now. You get fleshed out rivalries all the time that have nothing to do with a championship. And I like that. I really do like that. And I think they benefit sometimes from having so much space in between these takeovers. Because like you said, you get every now and then you get a takeover worthy match on an NXT. You always have lately we've been having a lot of insane spots and things on NXT as if it was some of these pay-per-views. So I really do love the way they put their shows together, and this is just another one of those great matches, hard hitting, physical matches. You look at some of those spots, they better than me. That's what I'll say. They're better than me.
Well, it's just crazy shit, man. And it's like with Swerve now, you could put him in a North American title opportunity, and you'd be like, yeah, he deserved it because look what he's been doing, as it's been going along. Sage and Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory attempt to interrupt a meeting held by Willie Regal, who are promptly rebuffed. Regal's in a meeting with Scarlett and doesn't want to be interrupted, but Theory likes her big fingernails. This is one of these things where I'm going, like, how can they get away with this?
But it's that cleverness. It's like a nod, like if you know, it's a clever way to get over get around the PG.
To be fair, she has got a nice set of fingernails, doesn't she?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was wondering too if they were real. I actually was just like there. I wanted to make sure. Are they acrylic? Not. No.
I think I'm gonna have to be face to face with those fingernails to really work it out. But
I really get a close look, magnifying glass.
Get a good feel for it. Anyway, on to the next match: Asha Hale versus Cameron Grimes. The NXT newcomer countered many of Grimes' signature moves, but had no answer once the technical savage took over. He hit the cave-in to the win. And hey, at least Cameron is getting TV time. If it's a backstage stuff or just a little match, he is one of the constants on NXT, and that can only be a good thing at this moment in time.
Agreed. Anytime he's on television, it's good. It's compelling. I'm watching. Doesn't matter, like you said, what he's doing at this point. That's how you know the character is there, the work is there. That's how you know someone is on top of their game, where it doesn't matter what they're doing. He's on, like we talked about Gargano. That's exactly where Cameron Grimes is right there. I know we've mentioned them both a lot today, and the way, you know what I mean. But they're in that same category of just like when they're on the screen, I want to know what's going on.
But the thing is as well is that you and I, we know wrestling, people listen to this as well, make the most of them at this moment in time. We don't know how long this is going to last. The way of really delivering, we're getting great segments of Grimes, and we just need to make the most because as soon as it's over, we're going to realise what we're missing out on. A bit depressing, but we know how quickly the world of wrestling works, and before you know it, they'll split up and it won't be, you know what I mean? It will never be the same again. Right. But anyway, we move on and Frankie Monet mocks Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. Carter tries to go after her and Catanzaro holds her back. And Grimes is telling her backstage and everyone else come up saying they want to join for a post-match celebration. He says only one room for free in VIP, me, myself, and Cameron Grimes. Brilliant. And then we move on to Grizzled Young Veterans versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. Gibson got a hot tag of his own before Drake sent Ciampa over the announce table with a suicide dive. The Blackheart took advantage of the position and stole Wade Barrett's shoe. Ciampa distracted the referee and Thatcher blasted Gibson with a footwear. He looked in the Fujiwara armbar and forced in the submission. I guess Thatcher and Ciampa are fine for now. It's another great match, but the reaction of Wade Barrett as well is just brilliant,
He, like I said, his timing and like what he says, the way he says it, like the passion, he knows when to get excited. He knows when to, like you said, be serious and give great critiques and give insight from his experience. I really like how Vic, especially in title matches, how he the questions he asked, Barrett, and like, as a champion, how do you, what was your mind state? And I love when they go into that. Because, Barrett would say something like, me, I was always confident, whenever I wanted to defend the title, it was like a celebration for me. And I just love everything about it. It made me miss him too as a wrestler because I loved him then, Bad News and all of that. Even Nexus Barrett I liked. So, yeah, it was, he's really, really done a great job, man. And I really, whoever made the call for Barrett to join NXT, man, that was such a great job. Good job.
I mean, I miss Jim McGuinness, but he's doing a good job on NXT UK.
Yeah.
And it's Vic Joseph is, I think, my favourite out of all the kind of. Actually, no, fuck it. I'm gonna give WWE some praise at the moment because they made a couple of changes. I was watching Raw the other day and I didn't mind Adnan Burke with Corey Graves and Saxon. They're not bad. They're actually having a laugh during one of the matches, and I thought that's good. Pat McAfee and Michael Cole on SmackDown. works out. And of course, we've got Vic Joseph, who I think's the best. For me, he's my favourite play-by-play guy in time. And I think, like I said, with Beth Phoenix and Barrett, it's enough there, the three together, which makes it really, really work. So I've got to actually say credit to WWE with the commentary team at this moment, because we've been, people have been pissed at the moment for a long time, but it's not in a bad shape at this moment in time.
I agree. It's definitely at a better level than it was. I remember those late Jerry the King Lawler days. Yes, you're a legend, King, but those late years, it wasn't the best stuff. I know a lot of people don't like JBL. I didn't too much mind JBL most of the time, but a lot of people didn't like him. So they've run through a lot of guys. The Mauro Ranallo experience, of course, and all of that. He was great, honestly. Definitely.
Mamma mia!
Yeah, he was really, really good. Really, really good, especially in NXT. He fit really well with that style. But, I think right now this is the best their commentary has been in a long time.
Yeah, I really do. Back to the match quickly with Grizzly Young Vets versus Ciampa and Thatcher. Ciampa looks in phenomenal shape. Fair play to him. Grizzly Young Vets deserve the gold at some point. I know they will get the gold, hopefully at some point, but they definitely do deserve it. And I look at Gibson, and I just think he's going to be a big single star as well. I don't know how far he's going to go, but that kind of the promo skills he's got, he's a really good worker as well. And I can see him having really, really good success. No offense to James Drake, but, it is what it is, I suppose. We move obviously.
Always,
go on.
You know how it is in tag teams, though. It's always that way. It's that guy who, you look at him and it's like, yeah, that's superstar material right there. I could name three of them. If you want to go to MSK, Wes Lee, in my opinion, even though I don't mind, I can't even think of his name right now.
Nash Carter.
Nash Carter. I don't mind Nash Carter. He's, really good. But obviously Wes Lee is like, maybe height will hold him back in WWE, but if you just give him a chance, especially in NXT, I think he has potential. And I think you make a great point. Gibson really, really looks like, like you said, the promo style, the look. I love the facial expressions, man. He looks legitimately disgusted to be around the baby faces when he says, when he's in character and giving his promo. Like I love it, and I agree. I think he has a really bright future.
We see Gargano Theory try and fail again to get a meeting in Regal's office, but he's not even in. Regal interrupts them knocking on his door. Gargano tries to talk his way out of the match with Bronson Reed. Regal says no. To make matters worse, he tells Theory that he's got a match with Karrion Kross next week. When we come back from a break, we see Scott and his entourage are celebrating backstage. When we returned, he and his crew leave the building to celebrate, presumably same VIP lounge as Grimes. Not sure. That leads to a video package putting over Sarai and Zyda Ramir. They fight tonight. Kross and Scarlett took the ring, and the champion made it clear we'd face any challenger. Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne made their case. Finn Balor returned to say he would be next and hit the NXT champ. A brawl ensued, and Kross took them all out, and the security guard got in his way. Gargano and Theory attacked the champion, laid him out with a series of super kicks. They ran out the arena before the main event. Now, the thing is I put, why get Johnny Wrestling involved in this? Now, my worry is that they're going to put Gargano just to be sacrificed to Kross. But as you were mentioning earlier, you could take the North American title off Johnny, have the Johnny Takeover character and go, right, let's see what Johnny Takeover could do against Kross. But when Kross can just destroy all the challenges there, it doesn't really build a lot of confidence, does it?
Yeah, I was just about to say, the way they made him survive, it made me put it in perspective. So it make, like you said, Triple H or what do the guy, who's making the decision, what do they think about the rest of their roster by comparison to Kross? I'm very, very interested in the Dunne Kross dynamic. I really would, just because Dunne's toughness, the way his style, straight up mutilation works. Just targeting the body part. I think that his style can work against Kross because it's such a brutal style. I just don't necessarily see him beating them, especially this soon. So, I agree. It definitely puts a little worry in your mind. Like, okay, I don't know exactly who can beat him. But yeah, I agree with you about the Gargano point. I think that he has a shot. I'm worried also that he will just get thrown to him.
Yeah.
Like as fodder. I really don't want anybody to just lose to him for nothing. But we'll see what happens, especially after the Balor matchup. So I can't wait to see what goes on. But yeah, it's not looking too optimistic for the rest of the current NXT roster when it comes to beating him.
No, but also another thing as well, it's not like, yeah, he's a dominant champion, but why was he dressed as like a snooker pool player coming out in a waistcoat? I'm going, has he got a top competition after this and we don't know about it?
Yeah, especially from a guy like his character though. This character is all about just killing everyone, right? So it's like when you see him dressed like that, like, oh, okay, he has a sense of style, I guess.
Oh, he's working at a local cinema later. All right, no, it's fine. I just whatever, whatever. And Gargano and Theory are fleeing the building, even though Indy Hartwell and Candice Ray have a women's tag team title match. Gargano claims they're going to get the party ready, and they can't drive away fast enough. Which again is brilliant. And then we get Zayda Ramirez versus Sarai. Which was, again, another good match. Clearly, Ramirez's win gave her confidence as she blasted Warrior Sun early. Punches and kicks made some impact, but arrival was just too much. She planted Ramirez with a release German suplex, followed by a Cito suplex to take the win. Another good match. Impressed by both. Sarai is, of course, more polished than Zayda. But what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you just said is really what I saw. I saw that Sarai seems to be more ready for the spotlight, but I think both women did a great job putting their best foot forward, especially since they're both new and, especially new to our television screen. So, I think they did a really good job. I must say, though, that drop kick, I think it was a couple of them in the apron or in the ropes. Sick. I love it. Love those running drop kicks. And, so I can't wait to see what more Sarai gets up to, as time goes on. And just look at that, with the Zoe start, Sarai and, the other, say her name again. I need the name. Who Sarai just fought?
Zayda Ramirez.
Ramirez. That's what I was trying to get out. I was about to call him Marina Shafir. It rhymes, okay? It's bars. I used to rap. Okay. Anyway.
No, I feel the same way about Humberto Carrillo and Alberto Del Rio.
Exactly.
I don't know why they put the names so similar.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that before myself. So anyway, don't feel bad. But but to point that out, like that new tier of the women's division seems to be not only in good hands in the future with the main roster with Bianca, Rhea, and Raquel on top of NXT, but just the new crop and how ready they are for the spotlight. It just shows you just how far ahead, in my opinion, the women's division in NXT is.
That is an excellent point. We then see another video package for Diamond Mine, and then we see Volta is speaking to Imperium via Zoom conference call. It's understand what he's saying, but it's clearly he's very disappointed. We can see Wolf getting a few glances as well. We see Sarai go backstage to thank Zayda Ramirez for a good match. Meanwhile, Tony Storm and Zoe Stark are getting into each other's faces till two referees come to break them apart. Stark goes to check on Ramirez. Three gives her respect too. Then we get Jake Atlas versus L.A. Knight. And, of course, L.A. Knight mocked Jake Atlas on his way to the ring and pay for it. Knight escaped the corner where he managed to send Atlas headfirst into a turnbuckle. And they turned the match around, allowing Knight to win a cutter. This was okay, but what do they do? Is it a North American title run for him or NXT title run? I mean, he just doesn't fit NXT at this moment in time, does he?
I agree. He's like such a throwback, and he's like he fits. You know what? You know where he actually fits? He fits well for the main roster in his current incarnation. The style in which he has, because he has more character, more entertainment value than he has pretty much, in the ring, at least from what they're letting him show so far, even though I do think he's flashed potential of brilliance in the ring. So I agree. I don't know. I was thinking that maybe a good heel title run with the North American title, but I don't think it's anytime soon. Gargano got that wrapped up, and I think a good babyface will benefit from taking the belt off Gargano. But maybe we can get a good classic double turn some way. For Gargano, who knows? But it's a lot of possibilities in the North American division, so championship division. So I would go there first. There's no way in hell he's taking the belt from Cross. So, unless you get a tag team partner or something for him, and he goes to the tag division. I think the North American title fits right in right now. At least that's probably the only place he could fit, like you said. And even then, he doesn't fit well by comparison to guys like Swerve and, even Rough right now.
They just seem a bit dirtier, you know what I mean? A bit, not in a kind of, but it's just a bit more, I can imagine getting into a fight with like, with LA Knight, a slugfest. I think it wouldn't work for him, But it's interesting. Like I said, you and I would definitely, and I think most people back the Wwe's face turn if that was to ever happen. I mean, as soon as the post from America is cheaper, I'll be getting a Wwe top, merchandise, of course. And speaking of which, Indy Hartwell and Candice Ray are in the locker room. Ray, she's going to become champions tonight. She says Hartwell not to think about stupid boys and stay focused on the fact that they have a title match. Dexter is shown hiding and watching in the background, which again, little small details, which I didn't know. Second time I noticed it, and I was going, fucking hell, there's Dexter in the back there. But we see Tony Storm before that declares, we start the flavour of the month and says, you don't deserve to be breathing the same damn oxygen as me.
Wow.
Right? I mean, a bit of a bitch. You can give a few company. That soon everybody's going to forget about. So I brought you into the business, and whenever I'm ready, so help me God, I will take you back out of it. We'll then see the Gala del Fantasma make clear challenges to the NXT Cruiserweight title holder and NXT Tag Team Champions. Kushida interrupts, set a date of their match next week. And then Beth Phoenix then interviewed Raquel Gonzalez and Mercedes Martinez. Martinez called Gonzalez cookie cutter, moulded after the blueprint she created. Gonzalez called her challenger failure, who set the bar low. Martinez promised to end the champion week. This was okay, but for me, Martinez's face was a different colour to her body. Now, I know we've got makeup and everything's fine, but for me, it was just a little bit off-putting.
Yeah, it's noticeable. That's the thing. You don't want. That's the thing. The best type of, situation when those things arise is when you don't notice those things. And yeah, it was too noticeable. I definitely saw it. It was kind of distracting, but I do think overall they got their messages across. I do not mind Mercedes pointing out a really good point that she laid the mold, not even just for Raquel, but like women's wrestling. She's been doing this for a long time. Like she is one of the original, taking women's wrestling seriously, for a long time. That's what Mercedes Martinez has been doing, and she's been a great representative of that. So I like her mentioning that, and I love Raquel's confidence, in the promo. So I think for what they were saying, it was fine, but definitely distracting. Was the I don't know if that was a makeup issue or camera lighting. I don't know.
Or if she has got a different, like I said, if her face is a different colour to her body, I do apologise for all those people that stuff.
Right? Oh my God, I feel so bad.
I get emails.
I've never noticed it before. Right, I've never noticed it before. If it is the case, and I'm so sorry. Did not mean to disrespect you.
Mock your medical condition. I do apologise.
Exactly. I did not want to disrespect her like that.
Well, we get Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart heading to the ring for our main event, but first they play with Frankie Monet's puppy, which apparently pooped in Shotzi's tank. And then we see Cameron Grimes can't get into the VIP at the club because the whole club has been rented by one man. You can already guess what that is. It's the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He said, learn a lesson, kid. Don't rent the room where you can buy the whole place. Grimes screams. This is just awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just perfect, man. I did say this though in my mind. I was like, he's been the $1 Million Man since the 80s. When is he gonna become the $1 billion or the $1 trillion man? And then I seen him buy, a club, and I was like, oh, that's why investors.
I was saying, he spent
that money to make it.
Yeah. He's been pushing them out for a long time. And the main event, Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, the champs versus Candice Ray and Indy Hartwell. Of course, it's a street fight. What they were wearing, we see Ember Moon as Jason, of course, Shotzi Blackheart as Freddie, making their way to the ring. That's Freddy Krueger, not Freddie Mercury, for anybody just listening. Before the introductions, the Poison Pixie attacked the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, gained an early lead. They smashed Hartwell to a trash can and smashed the ray between two trash can lids. This was great stuff. Hartwell booted the War Gators over the barricade. That set up a quartet of steel chairs. It looked like Hartwell was going to go into him, but only went face first. Luckily, an elevated suicide dive by Blackheart. LeRae interfered with a fire extinguisher. Whipping has failed the ring and has found an area. Blackheart hit the diving sentinel to Ray through a ladder. And shit me, Shotzi again, you know? Like, why did...
Here we go.
Yeah.
Deja vu. Here we go again. Every
it's just
time.
My heart, my mouth, every time Shotzi, you're going, she's going to do something, you're going, oh, for fuck's sake, like.
Yep. And you know what? The thing is about that, I was thankful that Candice LeRae interrupted the suicide dive. I was like, they're going over the barricade if she does it, because I know how like she torpedoes herself on those dives. So, I knew that. I was like, thank you, Candice. But then, Candice had to pay for it by going through the ladder. So, yeah. Candice, by the way, also her bump card. Wow, she's a tough. I always say that, so tough.
Well, we watched what was it, EO versus Candice in the ladder match, where they were just killing each other as well. And you're thinking Candice doing it, so we see Moon ricochet Hartwell off a corner table with an Alabama slam. Hartwell somehow set up Blackheart on the ladder, and the Poison Pixie hit a springboard moonsault. I mean, Christ Almighty, and no, she needs to take out Hartwell. Blackheart hit a splash of the steel support beam through the announce table. I mean, Jesus save her! Come on now, like you don't need. And then you watch it, and somehow Hartwell recovered enough to hit a diving elbow to the outside through a table. Stop the damn match! Stop the match! The Poison Pixie used Winnie Regal's brass knuckles that Johnny Garner likely stole from his office on Blackheart, followed by hitting a wicked stepsister on a chair to win. The winners of the match and new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. It is the way, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. What were your thoughts on this?
My initial thoughts is I don't think these belts have been around 3 months, and we have 3 different champions now. So that's a nice little touch. But anyway. I think this match, like you said, absolutely insane. Some of these spots, when you were running through them, I just recall like every single one of them, and just remember just looking at it like these. They just had who when they're planning these spots. Is there anyone now to just be like, yeah, you don't have to really do this. Because there's certain spots where I'm like, you didn't have to even do that. But I get it. They went for it all. If you're gonna, and if I think this is Shotzi Blackheart's MO anyway. If I have a title match, if I have a big match in general, I'm gonna go all the way out. If I end up injured, so be it. It doesn't matter. Like she is balls to the wall. That's why her character works. Like her wrestling style, all of it goes. It's right. That's a perfect package right there with Shotzi Blackheart. But anyway, back to the way. Like, I think they earned like that with, like you said, what we've been talking about these past few weeks, just the character work and the interest that's been garnering for, not only just the index stuff, but just all of the things, not only the comedy, but like I said, the smart. They're smart. They're not, even though Theory is, pretty much dumb, but the rest of them are, they think through, especially LeRae and Gargano. And I love that they're like the parents over the 2 younger, especially like Candice LeRae is definitely in that mom role when it comes to Indy Hartwell, But anyway, they work so well together, and the smarts to use the brass knuckles, and just I really liked it, and I think this was their reward for how much work that they've put into being invested in these characters, each and all of them. Like even the girls have been heavily invested in their character, and also with Theory and Gargano. Theory's involvement with the world champion, that's a big deal. The fact you even get a match with the world champion is a big deal. So they're finally rewarding, in my opinion, the way for all of this great character work and in-ring work that they've been doing over the last year or so.
Well, I just imagine like the road agent of this match, or every time with Shotzi, and he's like, "Hey, Shotzi, why don't you jump off that?" It's like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I mean, just have this on the main roster instead of this Jax Basler shit that we've been having with Reginald recently, It's incredible stuff. Britt Baker ain't got nothing on these women, and I'll fucking fight. I'll fight the very end for this. This was takeover level,
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
And it's great NXT. And I tell you what, NXT's got even better since moving nights. And weirdly enough, maybe the opposite for AEW, because the Tuesday shows have been hitting them out of the park. And what I've been seeing of AEW recently, they've not maybe been at that level that they had been when they had that head-to-head competition.
I agree. It's been kind of stagnant lately. I don't know what's been going on the last few months or so with AEW, but yeah, it's definitely dying down, or at least what they're doing. I don't know if it's just the current storylines or whatever is going on, but yeah, I agree 100%. I don't know. I know a lot of people are ratings people, and this is one of those reasons why I'm not really a ratings person, because the ratings don't always show quality. So even though I think AEW have more viewers, they haven't been putting on better shows, because NXT has been having complete shows with it, whether it's their women's roster, the world title. We've mentioned the undercard with Ruff and Swerve, but yeah, the women's division, NXT, no one. The main roster, AEW, no one is even close right now.
Well, and the thing is, well, and we we mentioned as well, moans go, oh, the tag team titles have not been defended at Takeover for a very long time. The tag team division needs a bit of work. And then MSK show up and go, oh, hi guys, let's fucking do. Do you know what I mean? You go, oh shit, if they sort that out, then what's the problem at the moment in NXT? And there's kind of not. And of course, if anybody's anxious about when the next NXT Takeover event is, we won't have to wait much longer. Of course, the Black and Gold brand's next big event is scheduled for Sunday, June 13th. It's going to be Takeover In Your House will return. Now, I'll ask you if you want. Of course, we'll be doing the Takeover, but I think maybe the next NXT update we do, if we do that weekend, and then we can be bang up to date with everything.
Sounds good. I think that'll be a great plan. In Your House last year was really entertaining stuff, so I can't wait to see, what type of nods to the In Your House history that we all know from WWE. If you're old enough to remember those In Your House days, I do. Right? I remember. That ages me. Think about how much that aged you in itself.
It's like, wow, you're that old. You remember it? It's like, yeah, it's like I remember when the WrestleManias were like single digits, like
yeah. JR in a toga.
Yeah, don't tell me about bad WrestleMania events, but like I said, so that would be great. We can catch up with NXT. Because we'll obviously have a couple of shows to do, and then the Takeover event a few days later. But let's finish NXT update for today, because we've got one last episode. It is the 11th of May. We get a great promo video to start about everything that has been going on. We are live from the Capital Wrestling Center. It's showtime. Like I said, the opening video package is Kushida and Santos, and of course going 2 out of 3 falls, and that Raquel Gonzalez will defend against Mercedes Martinez. We also get a warning from Karrion Kross. Austin Theory's time is up. And his time is now, because that's what we start off with, Karrion Kross and Austin Theory. And I think Austin Theory lost his confidence the moment that Kross made his entrance. All the way man could do was duck away for getting the NXT champion. A parasocial suplex put an end to any resistance Theory could muster. Kross followed up with a cross jacket for the victory, looking straight at Johnny Gargano. And then afterwards, Finn Balor appeared next to the NXT champion, told him he did not have to wait in line, and the two agreed they would fight soon. What were your thoughts in the opening segment?
You mentioned it, and I swear, I absolutely I was on the floor almost, because him and Johnny, and then Johnny after Theory's reaction to the entrance of the champion, as Theory did not want to get in the ring, Johnny pushes him in the ring. He's like, "Oh yeah, you got this," and then he starts pointing at Kross. You ain't bad. Oh my God, it's hilarious, because Gargano just again, it's the little things. I don't understand. Like I said, I can tell that they just letting Gargano be as creatively free as possible. They just do what you do, Gargano, and because man, what great timing, and just everything he does and everything they do has just been entertaining, just so entertaining. But yeah, the match itself, it was. I wasn't expecting much, like much more of it than a squash. There was no way Theory was gonna win, but again, the character work there. It was one of those squash matches that I enjoyed, just based off, like you said, some of the stuff that Gargano would say, the faces that Theory was making, and as far as Finn Balor and Kross's rematch goes, I'm excited to see what happens. Even though I'm the thing is about these direct rematches, sometimes depending on when this happens, They you always kind of lean towards the champion retaining. But I do think that I want to see what changes in Finn Balor's approach, because that their first match was all about the emotions and trying to aggravate Cross and make him lose the match that way. I want to know, how does the strategy change, and I think that's the thing that's the most intriguing thing about what's coming between Cross and Balor.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting as well, even though they announced the takeover, that this match was going to be on regular NXT, which makes you think maybe both of these are going to have different directions for a takeover. I mean, my bet would be right now that Cross would probably defend the title against O'Reilly, depending if Adam Cole comes back before, or maybe even cost them a match at the pay-per-view. And I would love Pete Dunne to get a victory over Balor. Will be on NXT or a takeover. I think at takeover, we talked about Johnny Gargano. I mean, Balor's record at takeover, I think he's lost once. So a victory for Pete Dunne there would basically make him next in line for the NXT title afterwards as well,
I think that's a beautiful way. I would love it to play out that way, because Dunne and Balor's feud was so great, and I think another way not that Balor needs to leave, but after putting over Cross, Dunne can really use that push also. Now Balor has had a great dominant reign. Now I think you can use, like you said, that takeover prestige that he had to build new stars, at least while he's still down here. And I think that was probably pretty much the overall goal anyway when Balor came from the main roster.
Yeah, I think we're out. And then we see Winnie Regal interrupted by Leon Ruff. He tells Ruff he's not letting him compete tonight. Ruff said he's had the medical team clear him. Regal said that's fine, but he's not competing tonight. Ruff starts screaming at Regal and throws like a glass. And he goes, that's not enough. And then throws like a pencil. And then goes, no, not enough. And then throws like a hole punch. But to be fair, I really liked it. The veins in Regal's necks are practically bulging as he says no and get out. And we move on. This is nice because it's the fire from Ruff that we've talked about. And it, level for him, a different side that we're seeing.
I love that new side. I love William Regal, sticking to his guns. The funniest thing to me is that, like you said, Ruff does all that and be like, what do I have to do? And the first thing that goes to my mind is like, man, Regal, please tell him to just pick up that stuff you just threw out. So you can start. I would have told him you can start with picking up my stuff.
Bloody tied up my shit, mate, and then you can fucking get him back.
Right.
Well, up next we get. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, but the thing I like the most about this is where it goes next. So you can go ahead and go to it, because where it ends up is beautiful storytelling.
Without a doubt. Well, our next match is MSK versus Breezango. Non-title match, of course. Breeze Blinds tags in. The two collide. Referee leapfrogs out of the way of the melee. We get a replay of the commercial break, and AEW fans had a meltdown on Twitter about this. I really like this. I mean, Wade Barrett's unhappy with Darrell Sharma hogging the spotlight, but I thought this was really, really nice.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful, man. It was well timed. The thing I love the most about it, not only is all the wrestlers' reactions, they're just like, what's going on? But his little bounce after, he was pumped up, like, come at me, like he said, come on, let's go.
He did the Nakamura, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been perfect. But yeah, I loved it. And again, some of those unexpected things that you rarely see in a wrestling match. Do I know that some refs, a lot of refs, had time in the ring before or were aspiring wrestlers? Yeah, but not too many of them still, will pull out a leapfrog in the middle of a match, are still athletic enough to do that. So it was just such a nice touch.
Really, really good. Then we get the dual super kicks, and then Carter responded with a moonsault outside to Breezango. That dive was enough to leave Breeze alone with MSK, who are in transmission to pick up another big win. And afterwards, the two teams shook hands. MSK then made clear they wanted to face Legado del Fantasma. Really good tag teams. Like we talked about Breezango and MSK as well. They bring something that's been missing from NXT. But we talked about, different partners. But does it help Nash that Wesley is just so damn ripped? I mean, yeah, Wesley's smaller, but he's in fantastic shape, and it makes Nash look a bit like a slob.
It does. I agree. And it's crazy because I'm not really I don't really focus on a body guy thing. I'm not like, you don't have to be a crazy body guy. Like we established that earlier to get over or to be compelling. But when you're in a tag team like that, and like we said, and the contrast is so noticeable.
Yeah.
And then he also gets like the best hot tag spots. Like everything about Wesley is better than that.
No offense, Nash. Your partner is just better in every way.
In every way possible. Yeah, see, that's why I didn't say no offense, because I don't know how you can make that not offensive.
What should I work on? Everything. All right? Everything. And then come back and see what happens. But anyway, we move on and we see Johnny Gargano saying William Regal hates him. And he says, I don't hate you. I like you. You're the North American champ, and the marketing department made your own headband. And you're still facing Bronson Reed next week. Good luck. Johnny Gargano angrily snaps a pencil and leaves as we see a disgruntled Pete Dunne making his way backstage. But Gargano sells that so well. We talked about it. We put the way over so much, but just a little snap of a pencil is just so funny.
Yeah, please don't listen to the show if you hate Gargano.
Yeah, literally. I'll fucking stop talking about him. But we can't help it. It's just, 3 hours of Raw would be brightened up so much with a couple of the way segments. Any show would be brightened up with the way there.
I agree.
We get commentators confirmed Takeover In Your House with Todd Pettingill hosting. Fucking get in there. And then Pete Dunne called Karrion Kross a coward for choosing the easy route against Finn Balor, set an open challenge to anyone who dared to fight him. Ruff attacked the Bruiserweight from behind, started the match before Regal could stop it. I bet Regal was pissed backstage. Oh, Ruff, I've told you. And then I bet he's also going, what are the chances that Dunne had an open challenge here tonight? Like, what are the chances that this happened? But, of course, Ruff came out firing, but, it wasn't 100%. Dunne brutalised a young performer, locked him in a triangle choke, forced the referee to call for the match. He then broke the fingers of Ruff afterwards to further emphasise how dangerous he is. Dunne is brilliant, but I don't know how far to go for him. And Pete might want to think about putting his hair up during the matchup, because along the times, I know this is a podcast, but he was doing this. Just, with the submissions and all this kind of, it's just like, I can't buy into your toughness if you're having trouble controlling your hair.
Oh my God. Yo, that's something I didn't even think about that. The things you notice. Yeah, but that's what an interesting point.
You will not hear stuff like that anywhere.
That's like the only thing they don't really match. It's like flowing hair, flowing blonde hair, while you're breaking people's hands and choking this poor wrestler out. But Leo, I love that the continuation of the story of William Regal trying to protect Ruff from himself. I really like that. I thought that would just be a backstage segment, and we would not see Ruff the rest of the night. So it was another one of those things. Again, if you don't like surprises, don't listen to this show. It was another thing again that surprised me. I love that they continue to to illustrate the story that sometimes the management has to save the wrestlers from themselves, and it was just cool. It was a cool moment. And of course, it was Pete Dunne. And I knew as soon as he attacked Pete Dunne, I'm like, if you're not 100% of all people, you're not attacking him. He literally I don't know if he got like he may get turned on by breaking people's hands. Okay, he loves it. He got a sick pleasure in it. He's sadistic, and that's who you choose to jump when you're injured. So it's
the equivalent of Zoe Stark joining the roster and decided to get changed in Dexter Loomis's dressing room. It's like
right. You don't do that. That's a bad idea. Bad idea.
What do you expect? You know what he's like. Well, anyway, we get Legado del Fantasma backstage promising a new champion tonight. Escobar says the only reason we're still champion is because I allowed it. And then Gonzalez works out backstage as Dakota cheers her on. And then we find out 2 weeks from tonight, Kross and Balor will have their title match. So it won't be waiting for TakeOver. And, of course, Frankie Monet will make her world debut on the 25th. I know she might have already debuted in NXT, but this is her debut properly. And, of course, we'll bring that to you on our next NXT update as well. So that should be a big show. And then we've got Raquel Gonzalez versus Mercedes Martinez next for the NXT Women's title. We got to turn down the lights and the cue the announcers for the world title match introduction. The champion, though, had to fight from underneath when she landed a stiff rebound clothesline. Gonzalez badly hurt Martinez with a powerbomb that sent it to the floor. The title holder slammed into the barricade and still posted need to take the win. However, Martinez held firm and reversed a single arm powerbomb, hitting the Fisherman Buster for a near fall. Martinez hit a low knee, but when she went for the running finish, she was met by a big boot and a single arm powerbomb for the victory. Yes, there was a couple of missteps, but don't forget it's about developing talent. I think we forget how long Gonzalez has been doing this for, but this was a solid match. What were your thoughts on the match? And has WWE got too many dominant champions at this moment in time?
That's a fair point. I didn't even really think about that, with the dominance of, Cross now, looking unstoppable as champion. Even if you want to go back as far as like what Lashley has been doing as WWE champion for a few months now. And
Roman Reigns as well, exactly.
Roman Reigns. So, that's actually, man, that is an actual trend. What the hell? Didn't even think about it. Wow. That's fair, though. Good point, man.
Oh, thanks.
But to be in all seriousness though, that I don't know if there's such thing as too much. It is a point to where if they're all dominant, like, oh well, we don't. Who the hell? No. Again, we talked about it. Killer Cross. I don't know anyone on the roster who look like they can beat him right now. The same thing can be said about all these other champions at the moment. So you got to give it time, especially in the women's division. It's a lot of talent there. With the right, energy and time. I can see some other ladies, because that division is so stacked. I can see ladies challenging her down the line. Who would beat her? Same thing I said about Cross. I'm not sure. So, yeah, I agree. Maybe they have too many at the moment. But, these things can change on a dime. Santos was dominant for a while, and we got Kushida in there now. So, maybe, that is coming. But I agree. That seems to be a trend that I never even really thought about until you just pointed that out.
Well, there we go. We learn something new every day.
Learn something, right?
We see security throwing Gargano Theory out of the building. The camera zoom into Bronson Reed laying on the floor, and he stumbles to his feet saying Gargano is a dead man. Before we can go any further with that, Azir Swift Scott grabs the mic and says it's about to get spooky in NXT. His entire entourage join him at the top of the entrance ramp to strike a pose as the music plays, and all four saunter their way back to the ring in colour coordinate red and black outfits matching Scott's hairstyle. He introduces the new stable, Hit Row, and promised that NXT was not ready for this group. Top Dollar, Ashante, the Adonis, and B-Fab stood firm along Swerve in the ring, ready to take over everything they can in NXT. What are your thoughts of this?
Oh man, I ain't gonna lie. I really like this. I was wondering if since they kept reoccurring in the background of his promo, I was wondering if they would ever make an appearance, all together, because I knew they were talent, because they looked familiar as, they used to be some of those Pandemic fans. I definitely saw B-Fab as a Pandemic fan.
Yes. Hey, boy, are you a Pandemic fan? Is that what you...
So yeah,
sorry, man.
I noticed that they were talent, and so I was like, I wonder, are they cooking up something? So it was nice to see what they come out. I like the kind of like nod to Death Row Records kind of in the name, because it's kind of like a record label thing, rap kind of gimmick, along with them. They're saying they're dropping hits, and they mean that in more ways than one. I like it. Very creative. I want to know what they're gonna do with it next. Like you said, on a show with so much going on, and you have a group like the Wwe that's been dominating. It's nice to get like a contrast. And then again, we just talked about it earlier with the faction that they teased, or possible faction that they could be teasing. And then you have I think TN and Shaw, if you want to consider that a faction. So it's a lot of things going on right now in NXT to be excited about. So I love this new element to Swerve's character. Like we said earlier, he's been elevating his game, and I think leading a faction. Oh, again, like I said, big things are coming for him, and it's evident with stuff like this, because once you're the leader of a faction, most of the time they'll just let you know that it's they're strapping the rocket onto you, kid.
Yeah, no, like I said, Swerve could go to the very top with this. I was very, very impressed with the presentation and just the kind of, he's got that confidence, he's got that star feel about him that
Right.
just makes me feel like, I've got confidence in him and we've seen what he can do work-wise. And it's just sometimes in NXT as well, it's finding that character, finding that position. And I think with Swerve, like I said, it's really, really good stuff. We then move on and we see at an auction, Cameron Grimes shows up and says you can't have one without him being there. Grimes complains that the auctioneer is talking too fast because he's going, hey, and the man outbidding him with his face hidden behind a paddle. We don't know who it is, but then we finally reveal his face and it's Ted DiBiase and he's outbidding him because he's going 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and then $20 million for the house. They go, they ain't even worth 20 million.
Right.
Like,
Right.
And DiBiase, he says, you're ruining my life. You and me, let's go. And DiBiase said, if I said it once, I've said it twice. Everybody's got a price for the $1 million man. And my friend, you are no $1 million man. Grimes screams in anger. I fucking love this,
Yes, it's just better and better. I don't know how many ways that he can show Grimes that he's richer than him. But, I feel like they just coming up with, they got a long list. Like, I want to know, how long can they keep this up? How many ways can Ted DiBiase remind Cameron Grimes that he's richer than him?
Honestly, like I said, this is just gold. And there's an old school feel to it. And I know not like the old $1 million vignettes when he first debuted, but there is a kind of style to that where
Right.
you kind of reintroducing the character. And I think, like I said, the best thing about NXT that I can say for even like the 5 weeks of watching it is that there's questions there, we've got answers, but I'm interested to see where it goes, and I'm invested in it as well, if you know what I mean. Like all these little storylines about certain things, I want to see where each one goes and progresses. Even something like Zoe Stark and Tony Storm compared to like the main title pictures as well.
I agree 100%. Outside of again, I can't say this without offending. Outside of the Everrise and the Robert Stone brands of the world in NXT, yeah, I'm invested in everything that goes on. Even Everrise, some of their facial expressions can be kind of funny. So like you said, even that type of stuff, you find yourself chuckling because, like I said, Robert Stone is so helpless. So that just shows you, like, even the stuff that you won't even consider the best stuff, it's still entertaining, and that's the one of those things that I can compliment NXT about. They are thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we see Zoe Stark and Tony Storm talk smack about each other until a match gets booked for next, and then it's time for our next match, which is only Lorcan with Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly. And as cool Carl enters the ring, we get a replay of the interaction between Lorcan and O'Reilly outside the CWC earlier, setting up this match. And Kyle O'Reilly did match the physicality of only Lorcan early. Tried rolling a heel hook, but Lorcan kept momentum all the way to the ropes. But the ex-Undisputed Era member put the match away after a brainbuster and a diving knee drop. Afterwards, Dunne and Lorcan attacked O'Reilly until Bobby Fish made a surprise return to save his friend. I mean,
He's alive!
He's alive! Gordon's alive! Like, he's alive! Like, I mean, Oni is great. So this is hard-hitting. Fish had arrived. He had fallen down the stairs at home when he had heard of the Undisputed Era splitting up, and he spat his food out. He couldn't believe it. Luckily, he went into a self-induced coma, then woke up 6 weeks later and had the idea to go to the CWC and find out what was going on, or something like that, I guess.
That's the only logical way to explain where the hell he went.
That's the first thing that came to my mind, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I thought. That was me.
Oh my god. I like the comeback though. I at first I was like, okay, so are they gonna rekindle this, or is he gonna attack Kyle? And like, but they had a little conversation. No microphone, one of those no microphone conversations where you gotta try to listen to them over the screaming fans. So I caught it, but basically Kyle O'Reilly's like, I'm doing my own thing. So I liked it. I honestly forgot. I'm sorry. He said Fish said he had issues with Lorcan. I'm like, okay, so did they injure him? Like, what did I miss that?
Yeah,
So,
no, that's something I think was missed. But I mean, Lorcan was great here, but I do fear for O'Reilly's personality, like we talked about.
oh
And
yeah,
like you see, you're trying to read the lips, and I go, and it's like, it's your hood is black, and I'm like, what did he say? Oh, it's good to be back, right? Okay, so that's what he said, right? Okay. Yeah. O'Reilly said, I appreciate your help, but I'm doing my own thing. And Fish said, yeah, I know. You got to do your thing. I've got my own source of settle. I'll see you later. I'll see you when I see you. And obviously went away, and you're going, well, there we go then. That's it.
that's one way to do it. Yeah. I thought of all these ways to bring Bobby back. And
just have him show up.
Just did it like that.
Yeah. Well, hello.
Work.
So Bobby Fish is back. We'll see what happens there. And then we get a video package for the way dressed up like superheroes airing, and Bronson really follows it with a promo. Next week, I get you Johnny Gargano inside a steel cage. And I tell you something, it is pretty packed in the next couple of weeks of NXT. But we have got one more match, our final match on NXT Update. It is Kushida, the champion, versus Santos Escobar for the Cruiserweight title. 2 out of 3 falls, and it did not take long for El Mendoza and Oaken Wild to try and interfere here. But MSK made the save before all 4 men were thrown out. This led to 2 competitors alone to fight one-on-one with the NXT Cruiserweight champion brought in the fight. The challenger Escobar wore him out with physical strikes. Then the challenger planted Kushida with a phantom driver to take the first fall. A cocky Escobar block and tapped out quickly, knowing he could afford to give up the fall. The action only intensified from there. Escobar caught Kushida with a suicide dive into the ramp while protecting his injured arm. The champion answered back with nearly stealing the final fall with a pair of inside cradles, much like Kushida got the pinfall originally in their first matchup. But then we see them climbing the center of the ring with a clothesline. Kushida took Escobar off the top rope with a hoverboard lock and kept a firm grip on Escobar until he landed a bridging suplex for 3, and it looked like it broke Escobar's fucking neck. But Kushida wins 2-1. Still your Cruiserweight champion, Kushida. Again, he's been my wrestler of the year so far. I love Kushida. I actually love Kushida because there's certain wrestlers you see, and it's all good going like, oh, I know this guy, oh, I really like him, or he's one of my favourites, but Kushida's one of those where, I saw him, I was like, I'm not really sure, and then everything, he's just delivered every time I've seen him. And now he's probably my favourite wrestler in wrestling at this moment in time. And that's what I love about it,
I agree 100%. Like I said, we've been here so far from at least most of every step of his journey since coming to NXT. And, like you said, at first he was looking a little rocky. You wasn't, necessarily sure would he, from my perspective, since I was more familiar of him, from his New Japan days, I was like, okay, I know what he can do. Will WWE, or will NXT for that matter, will they, realize what they have, because I know what he can do. And like you said, they've done a great job of just letting him put what he can do on display. He lost him. He like you said, his performances have been so captivating, like to the point, like we said, he lost a lot of his opportunities before finally winning. And it didn't hurt him at all because of his performances in those losses. We talk about that Gargano match that I still think is probably a perfect match. As close as it gets if it's not. You know what I'm saying? So, like, stuff, I think of that match, and I just point out, he kept coming close. He would perform well, wouldn't win, and now he's getting over that hump. And I'm into it. I love every second of it. And I'm just happy that everybody gets a chance to see what I was able to notice when I watched him in New Japan. Same thing, in like as time has went on, when you get a chance to witness how great, a talent that you've been watching for years, like especially like because as much as I love New Japan, we know that they're not the global platform that the WWE is. So when you see Kushida, prospering there, it's really, it makes me proud as a New Japan fan, as someone who a fan of Japanese wrestling. And also, like I said, I know how good he is. The fact that Santos Escobar, another guy, like I said, I called him overrated last year. You'll never get that from me again. I've been compelled from everything that he's been doing. Promo spot on. The look, the swagger, his attitude. We talk about Swerve's attitude, and his new, demeanor. But, Santos, you talking about a star that he feels like a star. Like he can be WWE's future if they realize what they have also in him. So I really love this match. It was even better than the first match because instead of an open challenge, you had a little story, a little precedence there from their first battle. So they knocked it out of the park, and I expect nothing less out of, like I said, someone who I consider an absolute legend already, and he's only building his legacy now and making it more known for everyone around the world to see how good he is.
Well, the thing is, and you make a couple extra points as well. One of these things I liked about Kushida, even when they did the kind of tail of the tape, so to speak, they made the fact of like 6-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, yes. Which again, a great. I have gone back, and this is partly thanks to you as well. Gone back on the New Japan app and the New Japan World as it is, and watch, and they've highlighted some Will Ospreay versus Kushida matches, of course, from 2016, 2017, which is. And again, it is brilliant to go back and see that. And of course, what's happening with Will Ospreay now, but Kushida's a talent and a half. We did mention Santos and what happens next. This is a perfect opportunity because no one's ever done this before. From go to cruiserweight now to North American, you know what I mean? Win that, become champion there, have Legado del Fantasma even flirting with the tag team titles, and then see if he can move up to main event status. I mean, because you mentioned it earlier. I mean, that's the goal, hopefully, isn't it, with him?
I think so. I think that should be the goal. I think he has everything you need. He can talk. He has the legitimacy, the background, the history. You know, he talks about legacy all the time. I think one of the things that will make his character go to the next level. I can see him holding the NXT championship with even Legado holding the tag team championships one day. That's the type of faction they can be. If, you know, given the opportunity, and I don't know when that could happen. I don't, you know, but ever since his program with Cross, I think he's raised himself in another level in not only our minds, but obviously people backstage. And I think he's just going up a level. I also noticed something, you know, if 205 is their weight limit for cruiserweight, Santos is right at 204. So you might just need to eat a cake or something, get right at 206, and he's prime for North American division. So, yeah, I think he'll be perfect.
Just a couple of biscuits and he's there. But like I said, another great show for NXT. Before we get on the ratings for this episode, because like I said, you and I have really enjoyed NXT this past month. This has been a great show, obviously, today as we've got it. And what are your thoughts been on NXT this past 5 weeks? We've just reviewed 5 shows. Is it as good as we're making out? I mean, it's just been brilliant, hasn't it? You know?
Yeah, like I said, the thing I like to get, I like to sit back, just watch, and you know, I'm a naturally goofy person anyway. I know the people who don't like comedy in their wrestling, you know, I'm not saying it got to be like to the point to where it doesn't make any sense, but you know, I love when I can enjoy not only the athletic spectacle, not only, you know, you get everything I love about wrestling is in NXT. I get the entertainment, I get the comedy, I get, you know, crazy spots, you know, great storytelling, you know, everything that you can enjoy about wrestling is there, you know. So I don't, you know, I'm not getting on anyone who doesn't like NXT or anything, but from my point of view, these last 5 weeks have just only got even with the shift in talent, because you know we losing EO on top, Finn Balor is not there, you know, we have different champions in the position and they're still continuing that momentum. You know, as if nothing even changed, you know, just right on to the next one. It's some seamless transition, if you see what I'm trying to say. So it's just perfect. Good stuff. You know, of course they have flaws. I just said perfect, but I'm going to fix that. Of course they have flaws. But for me, it's some of the most entertaining stuff every week, and I'm always looking forward to NXT on Tuesday.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, we've been loving it, but unfortunately it's not been doing great in the ratings at this moment in time. Now, it don't really matter that much, but my only worry is that this week's episode of NXT was down from 761,000 views to 697,000, which when you consider like Kushida and Santos, how great it is, it's a bit disappointing. But like we said, the next time we're together will be NXT Update. And, of course, it will have 2 huge matches. We have Gargano versus Bronson for the North American title. And, of course, then a week later, Finn Balor versus Cross for the NXT Championship. We'll see how it does with ratings then. And, of course, that'll be the next time with NXT. And then, of course, In Your House will be off the heels of that. But that is it for today. Like I said, what an episode it has been. And don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter, at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Monty, I know you're a part of the WNR Podcast team now, but you do other bits and pieces as well.
Yes, I do. You know, I still have the Mind Monty podcast at Mind Monty Pod. We're on hiatus. I am a graduate student. I am trying to survive. Bear with me, people. But that's besides the point. You know, check me out there. Hit me up if you ever, want to talk about anything. That's cool. But yes, I'm definitely a part of the WNR family. I do all that. Just hit me up on Twitter if you ever need anything. You want to talk about it. You know, cool. We can do that. To be honest, I don't be on my Twitter enough. So, you know, if you guys hit me up, maybe I'll get on there more. It doesn't really matter to me, though. Thankful to be here again on another WNR podcast. And reviewing NXT, man, these are the highlights of my month, because I guess it's like once a month at this point. So, yeah, I enjoy it.
Well, without a doubt, and don't forget to WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, because all the Google platforms, send us an email to WNRpodcast@gmail.com, YouTube, WNR Podcast. We have all the latest clips. They go at the same time on YouTube as you do SoundCloud, on your phone, and also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode will be WWE WrestleMania Backlash with Jaxie Scarlett. Next time, Monty will be with us. Like I say, will be NXT Update on June 13th, the day of NXT Takeover In Your House. But until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastically funny and brilliantly Monty.
Oh, I gotta take a bow.
Honestly, mate, it's always such a laugh to have you on. 2.5 hours just flies by.
Every time, every single time. Yep. Like I said, it's gonna be like we do this a lot, but you know, it's part of the tradition now at this point to just talk 2 hours. Don't realize how the time flies. Laugh, enjoy wrestling, and just, you know, it's always a good time. So I appreciate you, man. I really do.
Well, like I said, always great to have you on, and we'll see you next week for NXT Update. But until then, like I said, I'm James Rowlands. I was joined by Monty. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Adios.